What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Troll Bro Dude, and today the trade deadline is over. Slop season is basically over. We're winding down now, but before we get into anything else, Sam, you did have some news that you wanted to share with the Hogs, I believe.
Yeah, I just don't want this to take anyone by surprise, man. Look, I know that as I'll just say it. I don't want to be I try to be humble about this, but as an A-list celebrity, a lot of my personal life, what I have going on is out there in the ether. And I know some of the Hoggies have been seeing this. I haven't seen it shared in the Discord yet, but I know people are talking about it in private channels. So I just want to kind of get this all out in the open. I mean, look, I'm just going to start here by saying I have no plans to leave the You Know Ball podcast. I mean, this is home. This is where it all started for me. This is where I kind of built my career. I have a home here. That said, I have to give consideration to my career. I have to, if I want that streamy, you know what I'm saying? Is this a place where I'm going to get the streamy with, kind of how things have been going? I mean, Parm isn't an everyday guest anymore.
Mm-hmm.
NB is flying across the world. He's not available as often as he is. I know Will, as a young player, is itching to step up and kind of the workload availability. Yeah, expanded. I don't want to step on Will's toes.
Sure.
So I just think I just want to say I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving the podcast. Okay. I want to make that, if I had my way, I would never leave the podcast because I love it here. I love it here so much. But if there is an opportunity, with Stav having his own podcast, maybe Sam Morrill wants to bring back that, if the Nothing But Respect boys, kind of expand. I feel I would fit really well,
of course,
with both Patrick and Harry, in one of those things. And I've even thought about spot starts on Blowback. I haven't really had discussions with Noah, because obviously that would be a violation of the CBA, and
sure.
Obviously Brendan's contract situation's very different. But but yeah, I just, I don't want those rumors to kind of take away from everybody's listening experience. So I just want to address that and, get that out in the open and have a very, clear process about this. So.
I do appreciate your transparency in this situation. Just kind of speaking from a neutral, obviously I do have a lot invested in this, but from a neutral perspective, I wish there was a way for the fans of the podcast to put some of their hard-earned money on you going to another venture and seeing if that could be a possibility in the future, sometime in the next few weeks or months, or if there's some sort of something out there that they could do.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. What about because we don't like gambling around here, but what about some sort of investment based on predictions? You know what I'm saying? Where you invest in a prediction,
a marketplace where they have you can put your money on things happening in the future,
right? But and you're trading on it, so it's not gambling. That would be I feel that could be a pretty fun way. I know you guys have a lot of anxiety about whether or not I'm going to leave the pod or not. So that could be a fun way to do that. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to dominate the conversation. Drew, you said you had some news that you maybe were gonna get out here next week, or
I was gonna save it for, honestly, when we go to New Orleans. I kind of wanted to save this as a big announcement. It is completely unrelated to this current conversation, just for legal purposes. I do want it out there that this has nothing to do with what we just discussed for the last 4 or 5 minutes. But we do have a big sponsor coming through next week. We will be announcing
let's just say we'll be in the green.
Yep.
Let's just say we will be in the green. It's a little square next to our names.
There are many markets involved in this potential sponsor. It's not a mono market. I'll say that much. I'll say that. That's what we'll just leave it at. We'll we'll leave it at that. And this completely moral, very legal thing that we're doing.
It's fine. It's not gambling, so it's not regulated by. I just want to. If anyone gets mad at us,
that makes it better.
It's not gambling. What do you not understand about this? Can't be regulated.
It's actually good for you.
Yeah.
My favorite recent piece of information were when I don't think there's ever been a player who has had their goodwill cut in half. Like, I've always been a little bit annoyed by the Giannis stuff, but I've been just kind of like, whatever. He's just like he's a goofy dude, and he has been coming a little bit more like Kevin Durant over the last few years. But he turned it up to 35. He went full Durant this time.
Funny, dude.
He went full Durant. And I think that his perception, maybe not from casual fans that don't really follow this stuff quite as heavily as the true sickos do, but man, outside of the Bucks fans who are probably just happy that he's staying with the team, I think he's burned a lot of his public goodwill over the last few weeks.
I would certainly say so. It was also like very funny too.
Hilarious timing. Very, very Michael Scott of him.
It was extremely Michael Scott. That's a great call. By the way, bingo cards. Check your Millennial TV reference.
35 in. Let's go.
Yeah. And second of all, I just have to say that I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks kind of victory lapping shams was also kind of like such a like come
you're
on.
Getting off on the technicality here.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, we all know what happened, guys. Like,
come on.
Like, I'm happy for you that he decided to stay and that you might be able to salvage something here, maybe in the next few months if you get a little bit of luck on your side. But
is this good for the Bucks? Do we think this is good for the Bucks?
I mean, I think they should have pulled the cord, but also I guess we'll get into that when we talk about our grades here. Why don't we just hop right into the grading, the trade deadline, as we normally do. We'll be pulling this up on Tier Maker. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. So basically,
stop saying we're stepping on Northern Lion's toes. Okay, he doesn't own Tier Maker. We've been doing tiers for a while here, so
at least 3 years we've been doing tiers on here.
Yeah,
and before us, there were many NBA podcasts who did tiers.
Yes.
So we're gonna rank based on a scale of
there he is.
Little zoom in.
Yep.
My new webcam that I still haven't fixed. I forgot about that. It zooms in on my face when I get very serious. We'll have the F tier, the D tier, the C tier, the B tier, the A tier, and the S tier. Let's start with the Bucks because we're already talking about them. Obviously, they were kind of the center of this trade deadline because of the Giannis rumors. Obviously, they didn't do a lot in terms of trades at this deadline. They did sign Cam Thomas on a buyout, which, I mean, if Giannis does return, I think that could be a disaster. If Giannis doesn't return, incredible tanking move to get Cam Thomas, the tank engine, to potentially put them in, a position to drive. I've been calling it the Cam Thomas to Cam Boozer pipeline, where you have Cam to Cam, you have them on your team, and you have a shot at those ping pong balls going up exponentially, I think. But they're seemingly going to try to compete. Giannis is certainly not going to sit out the rest of the season if he doesn't have to. And I think it sounds like Giannis might be back for the All-Star game. So if Giannis is back for the All-Star game, that means he'll be back for the second half of this season. They're still in the play-in race, and with the Chicago Bulls, who we'll talk about in a little bit, punting on the season, they have a good chance to be the 10 seed. If they want to try to compete and, Giannis is healthy. They didn't really make any other sizable moves at this deadline. I don't know.
There was like a salary.
Yeah, they sent Cam Thomas. They signed Cam Thomas. They sent Cole Anthony.
Yeah, that's right.
And Amir Coffey to the Suns. And then they took back, instead of Nick Richards, who they got in that trade, they took back Ousmane Dieng who they got from the Oklahoma City Thunder via the Hornets, via the Bulls, if you're following that. So the Thunder originally got him sent him out in the Jared McCain trade. He was then sent to the Bulls in the Kobe White trade, and now he is on the Milwaukee Bucks. So they didn't really do anything, but the big reason for what we're grading them on here is, should they have traded Giannis or not? And now I said, I think it probably was in their best interest to try to wait for the offseason when teams are panicking a little bit more, maybe. Steinslop, we have, what is this?
I'm investigating. I don't know. Let's see what this is.
Really?
Unidentified Dallas investor group is interested in partnering with Mark Cuban to buy the Mavericks back from Patrick Dumont.
Oh my God. Hostile takeover?
A source close to Dumont told me the family remains excited about the future of the franchise in the Cooper Flag era.
Come on, dude.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, my fucking conspiracy theory shit from the night of the Luka trade there has never been anything that has been more justified if this happens. Do you think they just want to get out already?
Maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, possibly. I wonder if this was all lever because that group, because Miriam's in that group, right? Like, this is we've talked about them, like the Vegas ties with that. Like,
yes.
So, and we saw earlier, I was trying to get this confirmed or not. We saw some reporting. I don't know if it holds up. It was another guy from the Dallas area, which maybe lends credence.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That said that they're going to vote on expansion this offseason. I had kind of heard as recently as like 8 months ago that expansion was basically dead because James Dolan was like throwing his body in front of it to spite Adam Silver. So if that actually happens, I mean, that would kind of make sense that they might want to get out because they probably just want to own the Vegas team.
Right. That was, I mean, that was when they bought them, we were like, are they going to try to run Dallas into the ground to move to Vegas? But then we were like, from a market standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Dallas is a much bigger market. There's potential for more earnings there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But if that really does happen, that is what a 12 months it's been for the Dallas Mavericks. Just like, and our antennas have never been more raised, especially with Cooper Flag breaking out right now.
Dude, I would be so mad at Cuban if I were this. It's like when mom goes to the store and leaves you with your drunk dad. And
the baby dies.
The house. Yeah, he burns down the house while your fucking mom is visiting her sister. What the fuck?
It's really tough. It is.
It's really bad.
That is tough. But back to the Bucks. So yeah, I personally, now look, I think a few of these teams that we're grading during this deadline, we're gonna be grading them based on this deadline, but also, like, for example, the Chicago Bulls, their whole fan base is mad at them, but they're not mad at them for this deadline necessarily.
No.
It's more just, I'm going to be mad at you all the time because you're just stupid all the time. That's kind of how you can judge the Giannis thing, where it's like, should they have done this last offseason? Should they, like, what is the upside of them waiting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's the leftover exasperation. I call this Toronto Raptors syndrome, where you wait too long. The writing's on the wall and you wait a year too long to do anything about it.
Sure.
And it's not the wrong move, but just you didn't act fast enough. I think it was a mess. So I would say in the case of the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they should have traded Giannis this offseason. I don't think it's necessarily a mistake to not trade Giannis during the season. You know what I'm saying?
I do think it was a good decision to not do more. Like, there were rumors out there that I know that the Giannis injury helped with this, but like, they were like, they might trade if they had traded Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma for Zach LaVine, I would have been like, this is a disaster. Yeah. Like, and it's not to say that I like those two. I've just talked about why I hated that idea in the first place. This team has a glut of guards, to quote Daryl Morey. And they also are a team that should probably hold on to those guys' salaries in case, weird shit happens. You know what I mean? Like, if weird shit happens and they jump up to the third pick in the draft, or the second pick of the draft, and then you have Giannis and Boozer and or Giannis and Peterson, then you could be kind of cooking with gas here, and then you're going to want those smaller salaries potentially to move for players with future picks to get more rotation guys to fill out this team, because this team is still pretty thin outside of Giannis, Miles Turner, and Ryan Rollins. So I do think it was a mistake that they probably should move on from Giannis, but this at least gives them a pathway to getting some weird shit happening. And I think that they're likely to still get stuck at the bottom half of that play-in race. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like the upward mobility is really them for like, there's no chance they can get to like the 6th seed, which is really what you want when you have Giannis on your team. But let's split the baby here. I think I'll just give them I don't think this deserves an F, because they could have fucked this up worse, because the offers will be better in the offseason. I don't care that Giannis.
I think it's a C. I think it's a C.
That's what I was going to say. That's why I said let's split the baby, put him at C. Because I think waiting until the offseason is the correct move if the best offers on the table were from the Warriors and the Heat. And it sounds like they didn't even entertain the Warriors offer. It sounds like the Heat and the Wolves were the two teams battling. The Heat put everything on the table. It wasn't quite good enough. And the Wolves, they were going to do like a Jaden McDaniel, send other guys elsewhere for picks potentially, and then flip it to the Bucks. That would have been a bit of a disaster, even though I do like Jaden McDaniels as a player. So yeah, let's just leave it at C. All right. Yeah. Is there any other team? Should we get our teams out of the way here? Just do Sixers.
Yeah, let's do our teams. Yep.
All right, Sixers. All right, so the Sixers, you can tell I was very joyous during trade deadline week based on their actions that they did. Mm-hmm. They traded Jared McCain for 3 second-round picks and the Houston Rockets first-round pick in this draft, unless both the Rockets and Clippers fall into the lottery, and then the Rockets jump up 1-4, then we get the Clippers pick, but that's not happening. So they're going to get the Rockets first, which is at 23 or 24 right now, I believe. I do think, the more that I think about that, the Rockets finally won a game. They were on like a 3-game skid. The Rockets vibes are very weird right now, and
KD is always in the news. He's always, I don't know, like he's always in this. He had one of the worst ring endorsements outside of the Super Bowl ad last night. Like, I know where you threatening fans. Here's what I'll say: threatening fans is good. More players should do that, But I don't think he needs to like antagonize his team. I don't think Alperen Şengün should call women what he called them. Yeah. Me with the hat and the cardboard sign. Don't call them bitches, bro.
I was going to say that's classic Udoka coaching right there.
It's not, I don't know, like the Rockets, they're starting to pile. Will was talking about this in the DM the other day. They're starting to, some statistical evidence is starting to pile up that they might not be a very good, as dangerous of a team as they looked at the beginning of the year.
I think they're middling, and I think the Steven Adams injury kind of takes away a lot of the rebounding gimmick that was getting them to the point where they were having this super functional offense because they got so many second chances. And I think they're just kind of a middling team without Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams. I mean, shit, Raphael Stone said in the press conference, he was like, it might just not be our year. He literally came out and flat out said that. He was just like, it might just not be our year. So,
I mean, with Fred getting hurt, like, sure, it's not like,
and then Steven Adams, who was very important for them, and the Dorian Finney-Smith signing hasn't worked out for them. They've been, since I want to say January 1st, might have been mid-December, they're mid across the board statistically. They have not been a team that, but the long and short of this is that the Sixers do have their first. I still think that first has limited upside. I think the worst that you could probably get, I'm not banking on a Grizzlies style collapse from last year. They're still going to be in the top 6 or 8, maybe, in this Western Conference. They'll probably make the playoffs. And I think I think right now they're the 4 seed maybe. I think that's like the worst case scenario, even though that's where the Grizzlies were at. The Grizzlies were in complete free fall last year. I think the lowest that this pick can get is probably like 18. So it's probably 18 to 25, 24 in that range. So the Sixers basically traded Jared McCain for that pick a few seconds, and then they salary dumped Eric Gordon for a second round pick swap to the Grizzlies. They haven't made any buyout signings, although they did convert Dom Barlow to a standard contract for this year and next year, and then they'll be able to renegotiate with him in the offseason. And they left enough room to get 2 buyout guys, which I always fucking hate because I will die on the hill that buyout guys basically never matter for a team that
that's potentially true. It's 100% true.
There's basically been 2 that have really mattered in the last 15 to 20 years. Like on the grand scale, it's really like we talked about before. It's PJ Brown for the Celtics in the 2008 season, and then the Miami Heat Devil Magic run from 2023 when they got Kevin Love. Those are really the 2 best kind of buyout signings. Now, the buyout market might be a little bit better now than it was before, but it's still just something that rarely ever makes a difference. I honestly think the only 2 players that the Sixers could get that would make me feel like they could even crack the rotation and have a meaningful difference are Haywood Highsmith, if he's healthy, and D'Angelo Russell. And I don't know if they want to do the D'Angelo Russell experience. So the long and short of this is they traded away a fan favorite young player on a cost-controlled contract in the second year, a year removed from him looking like one of the best rookies in the class, to essentially get an upcoming draft pick. And then Daryl Morey was completely on the defense. He was like Jim Carrey in Fun with Dick and Jane in his press conference, where he was getting mad at reporters and looking very on edge and kind of, I don't even know what the fuck's going on with him. It's a very odd situation that's going on with Daryl Morey and the Sixers right now. He does not have job security, only has 2 years on his contract after this. I haven't heard anything about a potential contract extension. So yeah, I mean, I hated this move because, as Kyle Neubeck kind of flatly stated during the press conference, Morey kept saying, we feel like we sold high on this player. And Jared McCain is playing about as bad as you possibly could imagine for him based on where he was at a year ago. I know he's had this knee injury, but he was shooting like 39% from the field. He's shooting like 40% around the basket. His 3-point shot really didn't start to stabilize until recently. And he just hasn't looked like the same player. So the fact that this was selling high just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. We'll see if it comes back to bite them. I have a feeling that it might. But I would say when you consider where the Sixers are at and how you kind of have this miracle recovery from Joel Embiid, you have Tyrese Maxey having the season he's having, you have 2 going into the Eastern Conference playoffs. If Giannis misses the playoffs, you're talking about a conference that's not going to have Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, and Giannis. So then if you're ranking the top 5 players in the East, the Sixers probably have 2 of the 5 best players in the Eastern Conference. Probably. And they are rolling into the playoffs with Paul George coming off the suspension, Kelly Oubre and VJ Edgecombe as incredibly important players. And as much as I love VJ, he still is a rookie. Kelly Oubre, who's been not reliable at all in the past, Quentin Grimes, who has been extremely bad for 2 months now, and Morey basically arguing that they have a glut of guards on this team, despite the fact that we might literally see Kyle Lowry minutes tonight because because Quentin Grimes is sick. So if Quentin Grimes doesn't play, that means that Kyle Lowry will get extended run in this potential game tonight. The only positive that has come up from this so far, other than the Dom Barlow thing, I love Dom. I was glad they were able to convert him for the rest of the season. What's that?
Official Celtics account. Jason Tatum will be assigned to participate in portions of the main Celtics practice at the Auerbach Center this afternoon.
So is he going to play or is he going to practice?
No, he's practicing, but he's been assigned to the G League to practice with the team. So
okay, well, we already knew he was going to practice against coaches, so I don't really feel like that's.
I'm just saying it's an official account. You know, he's getting assigned to the G League now. So
we'll talk about that during the Celtics portion.
Okay.
So no more interruptions for things that aren't player-based transactions in chat. So
Important to me, damn it.
I need to just get through this part because we're doing the thing where we have one team on the board 25 minutes in.
It's fun. It's the Sixers. It's why everyone's here. It's why 60% of our audience is here. It's fine to go long on the Sixers.
Okay. So the one positive that has come out of this is that it is forcing Nick Nurse to play Trendon Watford at the guard spot, basically, more, which is something that I've been hoping that they would do basically the whole season. It's looked good in early returns, but I don't think that this was a move that they should. The logic doesn't make sense to me. You're not selling high on Jared McCain. You're not pushing in the chips to make a win now move right now, even though they said they tried to. And they essentially turned a player that could be very useful for them if there is an injury to Grimes or VJ or anyone in the rotation that could potentially scale up in minutes and kind of find their footing down the stretch of this season for future draft capital. And to me, it tells me that they don't believe that Joel Embiid, they think that this Joel Embiid stuff is a fluke. They don't think that him staying healthy is going to last. They think that the team that they have now is about as good as it's going to get, and they can't improve the team meaningfully, and they don't want to spend any more assets on the Joel Embiid timeline, and they want to look at the VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey timeline. And if you get draft capital, then you might be able to get someone who's a better fit with them either this offseason or sometime in the future. So to me, I think this is like a D or an F.
I was going to say the D is exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Because at least you guys got out of the tax. I'm not trying to trigger you.
That's the other part of this that drives me fucking insane is that they got this golden opportunity put in their lap.
Yeah.
That they have a player
they're stealing money from Paul George, basically.
They're stealing money from Paul George.
Yeah.
Because he got suspended. And then they could have done a move where they dumped Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon or Justin Edwards and Eric Gordon and dodged the tax. Or if they just literally wanted to make a real upgrade, they could have done Eric Gordon and they could have done Andre Drummond and attached second-round picks. By the way, they have 14 second-round picks now. And they didn't spend any of them at this deadline, not even on players that could have been useful. Jose Alvarado could have been useful. Yeah. Io might have been a little bit too pricey just because he went for 4 seconds and the Bulls might have actually liked Rob Dillingham. But there were players out there they could have thrown second-round picks. Jock Landale was traded for cash. There were rotation players that you could get as insurance policies at this deadline for your glut of second-round picks. And instead, you have the fucking idiot GM going and talking shit on Jared McCain, one of the most beloved players. Even if you think that Jared McCain fucking sucks, don't come out and say, we're selling high on this player in a press conference to make yourself look better. That's just a bad look for players. That's a bad look for fucking everyone in this situation.
You just alienated thousands of girlfriends. He is so many girlfriends love Jared McCain. You
just created a million Jared McCains.
Yes, they literally did create a. I just think I think you nailed it with what you said that it seems like they were operating with the worst case scenario in mind, which I'll say this. If you represent the Philadelphia 76ers, that's more often than not, that's probably a pretty good assumption. But I mean, give yourself a chance for something to go right. I guess that's the thing is they just didn't they didn't put themselves in a chance, give themselves the opportunity to have good luck. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is about. Do I think the Sixers, if you played this upcoming playoffs 30 times, would the Sixers win the East even twice? Probably not, but who fucking knows, dude? Put yourself in that scenario, I don't know. I watched Celtics Knicks yesterday. I'm sorry, that Knicks team, I do not believe in that Knicks team. I'm a little irritated, obviously, because the Celtics did their usual stupid bullshit. Bucks posting missed a billion threes. The Knicks aren't good, dude. Are the Pistons going to be good and ready? Who knows? The Celtics, we're not much better. We're all smoke and mirrors with rotation guys. Why not go for it if you're the Sixers? You just said, as you pointed out, you've got two of the strong. If Tatum doesn't come back, you are going to have the best 1-2 punch in the East. Like just full stop. Like,
and then if you think about it like this too, the thing that's really frustrated me, what have the last few, because going into the playoffs, these last few years, they always talk about like the 5% theory thing that Morey has, which is like, oh, well, if there's a 5% chance that his team can win the championship, he pushes in the chips. So clearly he didn't think that this team even has a 5% chance, right? So if that's the case,
which is crazy to me.
But if that's the case, why are we still using this idea, these analytical models or whatever, that tell us that they have a 5% chance when we have seen the Miami Heat as an 8 seed, the Dallas Mavericks as a 5 seed, and the Indiana Pacers last year? I can't remember. They might have been the 4 seed or 3 seed.
I think they were the 4 seed, but
I'm not positive, but they were not a top 2 seed. These are 3 teams we have seen make a run from lower seeds to the NBA Finals, largely built on hot shooting.
Pacers were a 4 seed, by the way.
The Pacers were a 4 seed. So there you go. No top 3 seeds. And the 3 straight years we've had a team. And you know why that was the case? Not only was it some possession battle stuff? Was it they built teams that had a little bit of depth and could survive some certain matchups? Not only that, but they also had incredibly high variant shooters on their team. And if you look at PJ Washington I know PJ Washington probably isn't the best example for this because he's not a great 3-point shooter. He was the reason why they won that Thunder series a few years ago. Maybe you could talk yourself into Kelly Oubre having a series like that. But more to my point here, Aaron Nesmith on the Pacers last year shot 50% in their run from 3, the whole run. Duncan Robinson shot 76% from 3 in the Bucks series a few years ago. The Sixers don't even have guys that can do that now. Like McCain, even though he wasn't in the rotation, is someone who, or was on the fringes of the rotation, is someone who is capable of getting hot from 3 and doing that. And now they really only have Tyrese Maxey, who's one of their lead creators. And then other than that, it's basically Paul George, who seemingly refuses to take spot up 3s a lot of the time. And then you have your shooters as Quentin Grimes, who's shooting 34% and like 25% over the last 2 months from 3. And then you have Kelly Oubre, who's having a career year from 3. But do you really think that holds up in the biggest moments? I don't. So to me, this is such a massive missed opportunity from this front office. You don't have to trade first round picks to get players. You can ensure yourself that you have options at least, and get a second round. Throw second round picks to go get someone that could potentially help you if anything happens. And you chose no for the 3rd or 4th time Daryl Morey has done this, not including the fucking seasons where he just fully punted on Joel Embiid's prime. I honestly think if they lose in the first round this year that he should be fired. Like, I think it's absurd that they did this. And I think that the only way that he can save his job is if they win a playoff series this year. In my opinion, that's how I would be looking at it. So let's move on to the Boston Celtics.
He's so mad he unplugged his microphone. That folks. The Boston Celtics. My team, near and dear to my heart. I was on for the end of Slop Fest, and I was not thrilled because I didn't like the Vooch move was like fine.
The only one that really mattered, I feel like, other than they dumped Tillman, which we found out later.
Yes, that was the thing. That was actually very important though for how I viewed this.
Because they completely dodged the tax. And the more important thing for the Celtics versus the Sixers dodged the tax because they're cheap. The Celtics dodged the tax because it is a strategic move to reset the repeater.
Exactly.
Because they've been in the tax the last few years, and they basically now have a way to avoid these crazy, repeater style bills that they could potentially get in the next few years.
I don't want to say I doubted Simmons because just like Brad Stevens, really good job. I mean, considering that when Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, they had a Porzingis who we didn't know he had POTS at the time, but had just no-showed that Knicks series in one of the most dog shit playoff performances of his career. A massive Drew Holiday contract for 4 years, kind of weighing down the books. And flash forward to this, and to go from like being like basically a second apron team to pivoting all the way down to
Being
no
out of
tax.
tax.
Yeah, like pretty impressive. To be totally honest, and to do it like with it not costing that many wins, also pretty impressive with a max player, your franchise player on the bench and street close. Like,
yeah,
everyone.
I don't have the link to it, but can someone look up Brad Stevens' names in the files just to make sure that he doesn't have some sort of information on every other GM for continuing to get away with this?
Yeah, he is getting away with it. Again, I think it's actually Mike Zarin. I've often said, just look at what happened to Danny Ainge the second he left Boston. I'm just pointing that out there. Mike
we'll talk about Danny Ainge.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think I didn't love the Vooch pick because I didn't like them giving up that value to like get Vooch. I don't think Vooch is going to be able to play in the playoffs. I watched his first 2 games since he came back. I'll say this, he gives them a little bit more passing juice as a big, which and he's just pretty good at that. A lot of hay was made about his rebounding. I think it's like fine. It's not great. What's really devastating though is like him as a defender. Just like he's so slow that he'll get to the guy late. This happens like so often with Vooch. He'll get to the contest late. So he's jumping to contest, not enough to alter the shot, but also giving up offensive rebound opportunities behind him. That's
the tough spot with an immobile big, where it's like you're trying to contest the shot, but at the same time you're also giving up. And when you for a matchup like yesterday against the Knicks, that's a team that's just going to feast on the glass and create extra opportunities. I mean, I've seen that with even an injured Joel, where he's trying to position himself for that. And a Dembone is probably, obviously much more athletic, but he is one of the worst in the NBA at chasing those kind of shots and then letting up second chance opportunities for the offense.
I just bring that up because there's a lot of talk about Celtics. I mean, like, look, he is at the bare minimum, like a different type of big. I will say this.
It's kind of what we were just saying about the Sixers, where it's like, at least give yourself a chance to have different looks.
Yeah.
And I think he is a luxury for you guys if you get Tatum back.
Yeah.
But I do think that someone brought this up to me. I was like, well, I guess it balances out their roster a little bit more. It actually kind of does the opposite, because I didn't realize you guys really don't have many. I know your creators are your wings usually.
Yeah.
But they don't really have many guards on this roster.
No,
I mean,
Simons was kind of important. Like, I mean, not important, you know what I'm saying? Because Simons also, but like,
he's a variance guy.
He's a variance guy. Exactly. He gave us a little bit of like Karis LeVert wheel. He was our Karis LeVert wheel guy, like, so, and that has value. It has some bad value. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into like Simons versus Vooch. I think ultimately when you get into the playoffs, you're playing either of those guys a lot or relying on either of those guys a lot. You're down on arrival, so it doesn't really matter. The problem is that the Celtics were the ones giving up the value in the trade. You don't need to win every trade, but I was a lot more irritated with this deadline when I thought they weren't going to get out of the tax, because I was like, well, why the fuck did you even do that then? Like, if Simons and
dumping
Vooch
Minot to the net,
dumping Minot to the Nets, like changing just spending a good, because it was the Pelicans second. They basically sent the Pelicans second round pick, which is going to be really good. There's going to be a 32nd, 33rd pick in the draft all the time. Really important guys go there. It's not always all stars, but there's always like a rotation player on the board in that range.
I want to keep an eye on that range in this draft, because I think the NIL money might be kind of making it so that range is starting to, like, last year it was good.
Yeah.
But when we start to see these bags go up, if they continue to go up, I just want to keep an eye on that late first. Cause like, I was thinking this, like, before it was much easier to nail a late first, early second. It might not be moving forward, because all of these guys that are good enough, like Sam Vecini talked about it on Saturday Slam and Jam a little bit, where he was like, Christian Anderson would probably be like the 23rd pick in the draft, right?
Yeah.
He's going to get more money to go back to Texas Tech next year than he would if he's the 25th pick in the draft or wherever. Yeah. Like, if that's the case, then I do wonder if those late first, early seconds are going to be as valuable. But with the Celtics scouting staff, and honestly, even though we fucking took Broom in the second round, the Sixers scouting staff, I do think that those teams usually can find value with those picks. They might not. The thing with the Sixers is like, they just they get too impatient and they move on from guys way too quickly. Whereas the Celtics, like they've proven this year with like Jordan Walsh, for example, that they're willing to wait and kind of see if they can develop a guy. They got a great opportunity this year, obviously, but
guys like Baylor Shireman, I was out on Baylor Shireman last year. I was like, this guy sucks.
Didn't he have like 7 assists yesterday or something crazy?
He had like 12 rebounds in that Knicks game.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that was what I was watching.
Yeah, like so. And I mean, like he also was absolutely dog shit from 3. But he's 40% on the year. You know what I'm saying? That was just kind of a bad shooting game for him. I'm just saying, I think it was very important. I was very irritated when we weren't ducking the tax for that because it just felt like giving away a 2nd round pick, which again is not the end of the world, like, and it's a little bit of whining from my ivory tower. You know what I'm saying? We really don't have a lot to complain about as Celtics fans. So like, it's not a,
I would, considering you guys got out of the tax, even though I usually hate when teams get out of the tax.
Yeah.
I think it's a B.
I was going to say A. It really swung it that much for me. I really, that's my opinion. We can say B, but like, this is like a perfect use of a season for when your guy gets hurt. Yeah. Like all things considered, I think it's gone pretty much as good as it could have gone. Outside of like them like getting like Boozer or something like that, but that was like never even likely. Like even if the Celtics were bad,
you would have had to trade both Derek White and Jaylen Brown. Like I don't think there was a way that they could have. I don't. So and that was the thing we literally talked about a year ago. Where like, do they do the Desmond Bane style trade, where it's like because when Bane got traded, I was like, maybe they put out feelers on Derek White. Although even though Derek White, they might have, but I don't. Because of White's age, I don't think the market would have been as. The reason why the Magic did that was because they were getting off the KCP contract.
Yeah.
And so there was that combo. Plus, we got to see if this thing works with Franz and Paulo. Yeah. And we're adding in this shooter, and he's young and he's cost controlled, and da da da.
Yeah.
The White thing, like even though I think Derek White is a better player than Desmond Bane, I do think that his market wouldn't have been quite as crazy because of all those factors, even though like a team like Houston should have been all over a trade like that but now that they're in the position they are, maybe they're better off for not having made a style trade like that.
Well, and this is just before we move on, I just want to nail this point just because the other thing that's really important about what the Celtics did here is not they got out of the tax, but they have multiple avenues to jump back up later on down the line if they want to. Like they didn't lock themselves out of spending money. When Vooch comes off the books this offseason, they're going to have I think you're going to have about probably around like $16 million in tax. They can just do that with the MLE. They're also going to have a this giant trade exception they made in the trade with Anthony Simons.
You never even got to talk about this on Slopfest.
No, I didn't. But like, because I'm not sure they're going to use that. It's going to depend on like what they do with draft picks, because they're going to be really close to the edge. They're not going to be in the tax again next year. They're going to duck the tax next year. I think what the game plan is going to be for them, I think they're going to go out and they're going to try to target a guy who is expiring, but a rotation player, but is going to be due for like more money and the team doesn't want to pay them. Someone like Lou Dort, for example, where the Thunder they're about to have their own cost bills. They don't really want to pay Lou Dort. Lou Dort's under contract 1 more year after this. I think it's a team option. The Celtics could take Lou Dort. And they're going to be okay with, because they've reset this repeater tax, they're going to be hypothetically should be okay with spending money in 2 years in the 27 offseason. So that's kind of the goal is next offseason, see if you can get one of those guys in the door, play them out on that contract, and then you can extend them or, just re-sign them or tell them we're going to re-sign them on the next thing. Lou Dort's a guy. Cam Johnson's a guy. So he has 2 years left on it. Okongwu might be a guy like this. Like there's targets there. They can kind of decide what they want to do there. So
Cam Johnson's really interesting just because the Missoula ball combined with the Nuggets needing to sign Peyton Watson and not really having a ton of avenues to doing that. Like they might be able to just straight up dump him for like maybe the Celtics first or something like that. Or the Lakers were the team that I thought of for Cam Johnson and their salary cap space this offseason because there's JJ Redick and him obviously have a relationship. He's the host of this fucking podcast now. Cam Johnson. It would be awkward for those two. Like you took took my old job, maybe Tommy Alter could just move in with them. They could all just live together in LA.
It's challengers.
Yeah. I was gonna say Three's Company, but incredible.
No, I'm really honestly just dumping Xavier Tillman to get completely changes how I feel about that. Sure. I would be annoyed to be like, fuck yeah, all right, we're back, baby, let's go. Because it telegraphs to me that they're serious about being good in 2 years, which is important to me. So,
all right, let's talk about another team that made a huge move, which is the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's right.
They traded Jaren Jackson, Vince Williams, Jock Landale, and John Conchar for basically Walter Clayton and 3 first-round picks. That's kind of the whole trade, if you think about, because the other players they got, like Kyle Anderson might be bought out, George Niang probably will be bought out. Like, I don't think that there's anyone on this team that is stapled into what they want to do. So they obviously didn't move on from Ja Morant. They kept Ja because it sounds like it would have cost stuff to get off of Ja Morant. But how did you feel about the Grizzlies and the Jaren Jackson trade?
I think, I mean, I talked about this a little bit on Slopfest. I mean, from the Jazz perspective, I think it's a hell of a risk. It should technically work on paper. Something about it strikes me as off, and I don't know. I can't explain the vibes there. For the Grizzlies,
but you don't think it's important to have multiple players who can dribble and pass?
I mean, it might not be if you have Will Hardy as your coach.
No, it's even Will Hardy is saying, raise my rent, dude. I'm going to prove why I'm that guy. They had to bench both of them down the stretch of that game in order to lose the other night.
So, Jazz perspective, I think for the Grizzlies, I think you kind of had to do something like this. And I think it's a totally fine return for Jaren Jackson Jr., given the contract and given, the things. I think it's probably.
I'm glad they didn't do some cost fallacy thing with him where it was like, we did all these moves to set up this contract for him. And then honestly, he would have never returned value on this contract for the Grizzlies.
No.
He has a much better chance of doing it on the Jazz than he does on the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies just don't have the infrastructure to provide that sort of value for a player that is clearly a second or third fiddle on a team.
Yeah, when your franchise player just is gone, you just kind of have to jettison around him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not even really kidding. No,
I know you're not kidding. I'm just laughing at it. It's like a horror movie where it's like Ja's gone, but he's not really gone. He's still here.
He's in the. What is Ja saying to you right now? He's saying,
I see dead people.
They didn't trade him, and it was not for lack of trying. It was because they couldn't, even the Kings didn't trade for him, so that's got to tell you something.
Shows you that it's like they did give it a go, and there was just not really a market for Ja Morant at this deadline. And look, I mean, all things considered, I think it was their hand was forced a little bit, but they got out in front of it. I'll give them a B. I think they did.
I was gonna say, yeah. I think
they did good, not great. And I think that those picks have 2 of those picks have some upside. The one they're really banking on is that Suns 2031 pick that they got. And knowing with them and their scouting staff and how they function, because the one, if I remember correctly, the one is the best of the Jazz, Timberwolves, and Cavs. Yeah. You're betting on one of those teams not being good next year. Basically, that's kind of what you're the path you're going down. And the other one is, like I said, has a real high upside one is years out. But with their scouting staff, I just feel like they can find guys that will be good in more so than even the Sixers and the Celtics. I think that if there's anyone that can nail these picks, even if they end up as mid to late first, it's going to be the Grizzlies, and they will be able to kind of rework this thing and get back on the right path. So I think it's a B for now. Obviously, all the moves that led up to this, if I want to criticize teams like the Bulls, which I probably will for their past moves a little bit, I kind of also want to criticize the Grizzlies because they, once again, you are correct that their best player kind of not being their best player is the reason why they had to do this. But they set up a lot of moves to just keep Jaren Jackson in-house. And then, like I said, it's good that they're moving on, but it might not have even had to get to this point. So the long and short of it is that they got decent value back for Jaren Jackson. We'll see how the rest of this season goes. And Ty Jerome came back and shot like 70% for 3 games. So
yeah.
Maybe they can't even tag now. They're going to be pretty bad down the stretch here and give themselves a chance in this draft. They diagnosed that this draft is the one to pull the plug for too. Like they were like, this is the one that we should aim for to put around that young core that we're trying to build. And God, I hope to God that Zach Edey can stay healthy.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Zach Edey can stay like healthy when he comes back and kind of bounce back from what's been a little bit of an injury marred career thus far, which is not a good indicator when a guy's that big, but like they're in sneaky, like pretty good shape. You know what I'm saying? They get good luck on one of these guys. Yep, they're right back to cooking with gas again. Like, so I know it hurts for Grizzlies fans. Like you put so much into a team, there's 5 of them, like, they're set up.
Vernon was crashing out over this.
I think it's gonna be a pretty quick rebuild though. I mean, I think barring some sort of total front office disaster, and this is not like the Grizzlies miss on picks, but everyone does, like this is a pretty good drafting front office. One of, I would say, the top 5 in the NBA, maybe even the top 3. Like it's going to be fine. I think this is going to be a very quick turnaround. I would not be surprised if they're back in the playoff hunt, like as soon as like next year.
It's possible.
I really think that's like possible.
And they're also betting on other teams. They're kind of doing what the Jazz and the Thunder did a few years ago, where you just put out as many as you can possibly get. And then you just hope that one of those teams, kind of eat shit. And then you're just adding to your core, even though you're still trying to compete here over the next few years.
Yeah, I was obviously very frustrated with the Grizzlies, called them the small bean drafting team like 3 years ago because I was very over their like bullshit. I do think this is like largely not in their control. They only made like one truly disastrous move in the Marcus Smart trade that is like
still haunted them a little bit. Yeah.
Everything else was just kind of bad luck. I mean, we've talked about how they tried to trade for OG Anunoby and Kevin Durant, and everyone just said no to them. Like that's not really their fault because it sounds like they put a lot on the table for that. So just and then Durant.
The 2 missteps they've made are the Zaire Williams pick and the Marcus Smart trade. Those are really the only 2 ones that are kind of just like oof.
And well, like the Zaire Williams thing, that happens. I don't know.
That does happen. I'm surprised it happened to them when you consider who was on the board in that draft. Because if you look at that draft, 2021 is one of the few drafts where it's like, I don't want to say it was there were still a lot of misses, obviously, but like Jalen Johnson was on the board. Trey Murphy was on the board. Şengün was on the board, and they all were picked in like the next 10 picks after the Zaire Williams pick. And that is like, they didn't even have like a medium miss, like Moses Moody or something.
Yeah.
Like Zaire was just like a full on total whiff in a way that I'm just not used to from them. And he was a high pedigree guy that just did not really end up working out. Okay. This is the other side of the trade. Let's talk about the Jazz a little bit because they traded for Jaren Jackson. We just laid out what they traded in that trade. They also kept Vince Williams and they kept John Conchar in the trade as well. They sent Jock Landale to the Atlanta Hawks. By the way, I don't know if you saw Jock Landale's first game with the Hawks. Yeah. He had like 27 and 13 and
I'm not surprised. He's like a good player. People were kind of dogging him in that trade. I'm like, why is he just getting sent around for bullshit? He's like
a serviceable backup. Like I don't really like I said, like I wanted the Sixers. I would have loved to use one of our 14 second round picks just to go get him so we never had to play Andre Drummond. It's one of those things where like I don't think it's going to make a massive difference for the Hawks, but it is nice for them to have a serviceable backup big, which they have not had the entire season really.
Having a we're in the no shitters league, dude. Having the more real NBA players you can have on your roster, the better. And he's a real NBA player, dude.
He made 5 threes in that game. It was so funny. We have Ethan in the Discord who has been number 1. Jock Landale was number 1 on his like, just go get me a normal backup center for the rest of this season. And if Joe goes down, we have this guy to like fill in some minutes and we can have different lineups. And that night it was everyone was just tagging him and everything because they were like, he's made 5 threes. He literally had a game-winning 3 in that game. I was like, this is unbelievable. I felt like I was sitting in the cuck chair watching that one. So it was really tough. But the Jazz perspective on this, they add Jaren Jackson. They seemingly are getting away. I don't know how the Thunder are being investigated for tanking in the last, or not tanking. I shouldn't say that. They're obviously not tanking. The Thunder are getting investigated for some lineup shenanigans from like a week ago. I want to say I saw on the timeline or just before we started recording.
Wait, what would that even be?
That's what it was like against the Blazers. I guess they like didn't update their thing correctly. And I was like, well, it's not like they want to lose. Like, I don't really get like why they would be getting investigated. Meanwhile, the Jazz are literally sitting Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson in every fourth quarter. They don't play. They're literally like, all right, here's the thing. You know, me and you have been kind of on the tanking is overrated thing. Like the tanking is not as much of a problem as people make it out to be.
Yes.
And there really are only 2 or 3 teams doing this right now to keep protected picks. And this is the thing that the Sixers did last year. And this is what the league wants to avoid. But when you're this blatant about it, like the Wizards and the Jazz have been recently, I don't think that's a good look. Like, I know that the Sixers also did this and we benefited from this last year, but we did have real injuries. Like, Tyrese Maxey was dribbling with one hand for like 3 weeks before they shut him down.
I was gonna say, I agree with you on the Jazz. What are the Wizards? Are they like not?
So they were
or something.
Okay, so they were killing the Pistons the other night. And then they benched all of their starters in the second half. Everyone. They benched all of them, and then they didn't play a few of them in the next game. And Sharif Cooper led them to a win over the Pistons. Like, they also were doing it. And I was like, this is, and it's weird to me, like, the Jazz are a little bit more in that range where, like, if they fall down 2 more spots as we've laid out, they actually could lose that pick to the Thunder. The Wizards are, like, pretty squarely not going to lose their pick. Like, they're
gonna be a top 4 tank team.
They're bottom 4. They have like a 1% chance of losing that pick. Like, it's not, they do not have to worry about that in the same way that the Jazz do. But, and once again, I don't really want to get into like, how do we solve this stuff? But I think that those are legitimate complaints from people when these kind of things are happening. It is just very funny because it's the only people I see complaining about it are the Thunder and the Knicks fans that would benefit from getting the Wizards or the Jazz picks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Thunder were feeling this way last year when the Sixers pulled the plug and they were tanking down the stretch or whatever, but they'll be fine. Both of those teams, especially the Thunder, will be fine.
I was going to say, you also have to realize that this is something that's baked into the cost when you agree to pick protections. You have to understand that if somebody doesn't have your pick, they're not going to do this for you, you know,
exactly.
You know,
they're going to do everything they can to keep the pick.
Part of the reason it was what happened with the Celtics and the Nets trade was so satanic is that it's very rare that a team like just completely falls apart like that and has like no young guys or anything to play. You know what I'm saying? The Nets didn't have anyone to bench. They were trying. They just sucked.
Sucked. So, and then so for the Jazz, just the Jaren Jackson thing. So I actually kind of like this trade. I know that a lot of people were more skeptical of it. I think there were a lot of calculator rats that were like, Jaren Jackson just is not as impactful as, you know, he's made out to be because of he has deficiencies. There's no doubt about that. The playmaking, passing stuff, the self-creation, the rebounding. He is basically a extremely high-paid role player that occasionally has games where he looks like a star. I get that. He's probably more in that mold. But I do like the situation if they can. The question for me is what happens with Walker Kessler now? Because if there's a team out there that just throws a massive bag at Walker Kessler, like the Chicago Bulls or the Washington, where the Wizards can't anymore, but like any team that has cap space, the Lakers probably aren't, but like there are teams that could throw $35 million a year at like I said, the Isaiah Hartenstein style deal that just happened with the Thunder, where they throw a bloated 2 to 3 year contract at Walker Kessler and the Jazz have to match that deal. And then you're paying Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler all that money before the next 2 years before the huge Keontae George extension potentially kicks in. So I like the move on its face right now, but you do have to factor that in. And if they get Walker Kessler back at like $20 million a year because he was injured this year, and just because maybe there isn't a team out there that's going to do that, then I do think that this could end up being really good for the Jazz next year, especially if they end up tanking down the stretch here and they keep their pick. So I liked it. I didn't love it. So I don't know, where do you think they should go on the board here?
I feel like I did not like the Jaren Jackson trade, but I also can't really articulate that in a way that makes sense outside of my own like vibes are bad like thing, because it does kind of make sense on paper. Like you just laid out, I do think the uncertainty of the Walker Kessler situation's a little bit like, I mean, not uncertainty because they can match, but like, I don't know.
They have to spend though. You'd have to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Like, and are you going to be okay with locking yourself into like a 9 seed? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's kind of what you're looking at with this team. Even if everything goes pretty well. So I don't know. Like, it's like, what do you expect Disgrace Bailey to turn into? Like, what are they keeping the pick? You know, it's kind of hard. Like, what are their avenues to improving this team?
Look, they have a lot of size, they have a lot of shooting, and now they have some defensive cover if they get that Jaren Jackson plus Walker Kessler front court. That's what you're betting on here.
Yeah. So I think it's like, I don't know. It's okay. A lot of my distaste is I just do not believe in this core being like a meaningful team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if the Jazz hop up in the lottery, I feel a lot better about it if they're getting one of those 3 guys or something like that. I don't see them having a lot of ways to add a lot of pieces because they don't have a ton of picks left, right? Like they
use a lot of their draft capital to make this move. Like they have some options, but I don't think this is kind of a big part of that. It's kind of similar to what we talked about with the Magic with Desmond Bane last year, where it was like the Magic saved up these picks, and then they finally struck. And I liked the trade at the time. It hasn't necessarily paid off yet. We'll see what happens with that, but there's certainly some risk building from there.
My instinct is D, but I think but that's also just my own weird vibes. I think it's more of a C. Yeah. C. I think it's C. Yeah.
I love this massive Utah Jazz logo that they have on here for some reason. So let's talk about another team that went in the opposite direction. Yeah. The Clippers kind of blew it up, not fully, but the Clippers went in the opposite direction of what we've been used to from them, which is they're basically always making win now moves for really going on like 6 straight years.
Yep.
Of trading whatever they possibly can to get stars in the door, to signing role players, to, mid-level exceptions, to trading for guys that might want to get paid that are on on contracts like Norm Powell. And now they went in the opposite direction. They traded both James Harden and Zubac to, the Cavs and the Pacers. They got Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, and 2 first-round picks back for those guys. Also, Isaiah Jackson was included in the Pacers trade. The Pacers pick is juicy, potentially, if it falls in that 5 to 9 range.
It's a risky pick.
Very risky.
Yep.
From the Pacers' perspective, that was certainly a risk that they took. And the Clippers, I really like what the Clippers did.
I was just going to say, I think this is an A, dude. Like,
yeah.
And I thought about S because I was like, well, what could they have possibly done better? Because here's what I'll say. I get it. Darius Garland is a risk in itself. You know what I'm saying? Like if his ankles are fucked or his toes are fucked, like that is what it is. That said, like somebody was saying, like, is turf toe really a chronic condition? That doesn't really seem like something that should be like chronic.
He might be the only person that's been. We're going on like a year or 2 of this. It's weird.
Yeah. So like, maybe it's just a weird one for that. I mean, Kylie earmuffs. I think this was about as good as you were going to do for old James Harden. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, this is like, if you had told me after last season, even with Garland's playoff faults, even with Garland's injuries and that, like, he was 25, 26, like he's 26 right now. Adding a player, even if Darius Garland is going to be someone that is not necessarily, you know, in a loaded Western Conference, can't be the best player on your team. They have Kawhi Leonard still. Now we'll see what happens with Kawhi. If Garland can come back and look like himself, that's a nice additive player to this team while getting younger and really trading James Harden before he could potentially just walk for nothing in the offseason. He had a player option, if I remember. Oh no, he had a team option. But still, either way, they were probably not going to give him a longer term extension. This is about as good as they possibly could have done. I agree with that. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have the Zoo trade where if you really get now we'll do the Pacers and the Clippers in one here.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about the Clippers and the Pacers perspective on this, the Pacers are going, we're getting Halliburton next year back, and we have a core we think can win the championship next year. Adding Zoo, obviously they lost Miles Turner in free agency. Jay Huff's nice, but he's probably more of a backup big. And now you have someone like Zoo who can plug in and start, and that's great. You also just punted on this season, and you could potentially be giving away the 5th pick in the draft to the Clippers now.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's a massive risk. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Pritchard did the calculations. He was like, the guys at the top of this draft would obviously change our fortunes.
The 4.
Yeah.
The 4 guys at the top, which is why the top 4 protected it.
Right. Well, it's, it's a lottery jump ups. It's, at that point. And then they're like, guys at the top of the draft are going to matter. Like we value Zubac for this particular team more than these guys at like 5 through 9 that like aren't going to be on the board is basically the calculus they're doing. And you know what? That's it's bad value kind of on its face to like dangle a pick that juicy. But I think it's really rare that a team is picking as high as the Pacers are. And they're, they are a finals team. We've seen it. We know they're a finals team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and the East again continues to be bad. Like Tatum will be back next year, but like the Pacers even gave like the fully loaded, the championship Celtics. It was a sweep, but it was a fucking competitive sweep. Like, I don't think it's necessarily bad on their part, but I think it's excellent value for the Clippers. I don't think you were ever getting a deal where you could get a 5th through 9th pick for Zubac anywhere else for sure.
So this was the estimation that the Pacers made, basically.
Yeah.
They think the top 4 picks are going to be Peterson, Boozer, Dybansta, and Caleb Wilson.
Yeah, probably will be. Wilson maybe slides, but I think those other 3 guys are like complete locks at this point. Like
Kingston Flemings is the next pick. He's a point guard. Yeah. Keaton Wagler is the next pick right now. He's a shooting guard. Yeah. Mikal Brown is the next pick, although I don't see Mikal Brown going this high. That's crazy to me. Then you have to get down to Nate Ament, who I don't know where he's going to go. LeBaron Philon, like most of the guys that are in that 2nd tier, 3rd tier in this draft are guards, and they're saying we have our guard rotation locked in. If we're jumping up, we have, unless it's Darren Peterson, then you just go, well, Darren Peterson's Darren Peterson, and we're going to take him because he might be fucking Michael Jordan. Right. So there's that scenario where they're saying we feel good about our guards. We'd rather add a big like Zubac, who I'll say this much. It's a risk because I think Tyrese Halliburton and Zubac is going to be an interesting stylistic fit in a way that like Harden made Zubac as good as he was the last 2 years was a big part of his leap that he's made on offense.
Yeah.
But I do wonder how well because the way that Halliburton functions, Halliburton can kind of fit in with anyone, to be honest with you, but the way that he functions, Harden, even at his age, was still more of like a traditional pick and roll downhill threat than Tyrese Halliburton. Now, maybe he bulks up and they play more of that style this upcoming year. One of the reasons why Halliburton is because he is someone that can kind of fluctuate all throughout your system. They play with pace. Zubac is not that. He's never going to play with pace. He's not going to be someone who is going to be picking and popping like Miles Turner did. And with all of Miles Turner's faults, I think Zubac is just better than Miles Turner. But he did bring the spacing element. The pick and pop element is just different. It's going to take a while to get adjusted to that. And I do want to see how that plays out. But I'll say this much. I like this more from the Clippers perspective than I do from the Pacers perspective. I think that there is real risk involved with the Pacers, and I respect them for going for it. But I don't know, man. If it ends up the 5th pick in the draft, maybe I'll feel very different about this when it's, the 3rd pick in the draft and they keep it, and then it's too far out picks and you're going for it now and all that. But it's a risk. It's a 50-50 shot. You lose the pick.
Yeah. And
you just punted on a season, even though Tyrese Halliburton was out, and that was the right thing to do. You basically, you took this whole season, and I don't know. I don't feel great about it for the Pacers right now.
Do you feel like the Mathurin piece will punish them at all?
No, I don't. I think
I don't either.
I don't.
So
yeah. I don't really care about it. It's the picks were the value in this trade. That was just more of like a flyer that the Clippers. They might not even. They might just let him walk.
I'm in between B and C because like the risk is there, but I do think the more I think about it, the more I think it's kind of cheeky, and I do kind of like
Pritchard's
like being a little cheeky. I like having the balls to be like, I want to make my team. Anyone can fucking make their team worse to get more picks, man. I respect if you're not doing something like really stupid, and I think this could be stupid, but it's like medium stupid. Like I can see kind of where this is coming from. So I think it's interesting to say the least. So I think you could do C, but you could, yeah.
So Brian says this feels like a lesson from the Warriors post 2019 tank and bust. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah. I think in most drafts I would agree that is fine. I just think there's a chance that like even the 5th pick in this draft could be like the 2nd pick in a normal draft. Maybe. And if the Warriors take literally the guy they should have taken in 2020, we are not having this, or the guy they should have taken in 2021. This is not hindsight shit. Everyone said at the time they should have taken LaMelo. Yeah. And then Franz was a great fit for what they wanted to do, or even if you wanted to go like Şengün or someone like both of those guys made sense for the Warriors at the time. The Pacers, like I think the downside is not massive here for the Pacers because the Pacers are still going to be good and Zoo will give them a chance at that. Yeah. I just think there's a chance that Zoo played the best basketball of his career the last 2 years.
No, you're cooking on James Harden. Probably, I would say that's even likely. You know what I'm saying? I would say it's kind of unlikely that he's as good as he was for the Clippers. I still think he's a very good player, though.
And he doesn't have to be amazing. He just has to play his role well for the Pacers because he'll still be. That team will be extremely good next year. I'm not doubting that at all, for sure. Yeah. So, all right. So this is actually, I wanted to explain this to you because I don't think you've seen this.
Okay.
This is Jack, who is a Clippers fan.
Yeah.
My favorite wrinkle from this is that Clippers fans are now rooting. They've won both of their games since the deadline, so it hasn't worked out for them so far. But they're actually rooting for themselves to tank. Because now if they jump up in the lottery, that means that it's more likely that the Pacers could fall down. So they would then jump up and the Thunder would get like the 4th pick in the draft or whatever.
And
then the Pacers get bumped to 6 or whatever.
I see.
And so there's actually incentive for, even though they don't have their pick, for them to root against the team.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the best. That is the best like fan related thing that has come out of this is that even though they don't have their pick, they are rooting against the team. It was so fucking funny. Yeah, but no, it's I mean, we'll see what they do with Kawhi this offseason. The Clippers, by the way, I'm surprised they didn't trade him at the deadline. Like
me too.
I think they probably have an agreement with Kawhi where it's like, they have many agreements with Kawhi.
Yeah, I have a few. I have a few
of those. Yeah, they popped up at the Super Bowl last night during Bad Bunny's performance. But the long and short of this is that is that we could see a Kawhi Leonard trade this offseason, and the Clippers for the first time in forever are going into not a rebuild but a reworking because they still don't have their picks. And I'm a little bit worried that they're going to figure this out in the next 2 years. Like, as a Sixers fan, I'm rooting against the Pacers giving their pick to the Clippers, because if they draft someone really good at like 5 or 6 in this draft, and then they have Garland, and then they get good return on Kawhi, or Kawhi just extends at a cheaper number there, like we could be looking at a situation where the Clippers are pretty competitive for the next 2 to 3 years, and the Sixers are then stuck with egg on their face because they didn't sell high on the picks when they had the chance to sell high on the picks. So there's some risk there involved for us as well. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls basically traded everyone we thought they could trade except for Jalen Smith. So they traded Ayo Dosunmu, they traded Vucevic, they traded they were the most active team at this deadline, really. And then they traded Kobe White. Did you see the Kobe White update on this trade, by the way?
No, what was that?
He failed the physical.
Oh no.
So they had to take back a second round pick that they had originally got and send it back to the Hornets. So they only got 2 second round picks for Kobe White.
Okay, great.
From the Hornets. Then they got 4 from the Wolves, although they also got Rob Dillingham in that trade, who actually looked pretty decent in his first game with the Bulls. I'm not over-indexing by any means. Rob Dillingham's been absolutely terrible in the NBA so far. But low-risk flyer from the Bulls to take on his not crazy contract for next year, but like whatever. It's a meaningful contract, but it's a decent low-risk flyer from them when they're going to already have a ton of cap space as it is. Kobe White is gone. Like I said, Ayo's gone. Vooch is gone. They have Simons. They added Anthony Simons, Jaden Ivey, who already is having a hilarious.
I was going to say the highlight reels are already coming out for our guy, Jaden Ivey.
I unfortunately, I think he might just be cooked. I do think that is a very good point, that the Jaden Ivey passing clip might have been the best thing that the Bulls are going to get out of this trade.
Yep.
Sure. But and then they got Colin Sexton, who's on an expiring. They might even buy him out before the end of this season. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. But they didn't really they got Nick Richards. They flipped Ousmane Dieng. We talked about that. They basically got a bunch of expiring contracts. Yabu, who then turned down his player option already for next year so that he could be included in that trade. So the long and short of this is that they are basically in a position where they added a bunch of second round picks, a few young guys like Ivy and Rob Dillingham to take flyers on, and they have a ton of cap space this upcoming offseason. The guy I was shocked they moved on from was Ayo. Everyone else, I knew they weren't going to want to pay Kobe White. I knew Vucevic's time was done there.
Yeah.
Rob Dillingham in the Ayo trade, maybe they actually were interested in him, but other than that, I don't really think that they're going to get anyone that's like even like meaningful at all from this outside of the second round picks and the cap space this summer. I think everyone's mad at the Bulls for their past moves, though.
Yes.
Because they should have traded Ayo a year ago. They should have traded Kobe White a year ago. They sat on their hands. They did fucking nothing. And that's why everyone's mad at them. And that's very legitimate. But for this deadline in a vacuum, I actually think it was totally fine. Like, there was nothing they could have done that would have made the fans happy. They're just always mad at them because they should be. Because they should be,
yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, them at least diagnosing that this season is cooked, like, they're gonna fall out of the play-in almost certainly, assuming that the Bucks aren't a total disaster down the stretch. Like, they're gonna be in that possibly as low as like 11 or 12. I think 11 might be the lowest that they can get, maybe 12 in the East. And they diagnosed that like this draft is actually meaningful and could potentially change things for them. And then they add a bunch of cap space. Like, I think for this deadline in itself, I actually liked what they did. Like, the only thing I would have done
with the winners, which is very funny. Like,
the only thing I would have done differently, I think, is I would have tried to maybe keep Ayo and get him on a scam contract this offseason, because there's not a lot of teams that can offer him money if you look around the league. But I think considering what they got back for him, like, I don't know. I think they did decent. Like, I know everyone's mad at them all the time, but we're definitely grading them on a curve.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It is really like,
I mean, to be clear, overall disastrous team building. Like,
of course,
asset
we've been saying for a
yeah.
year they should have traded these guys.
Yeah.
We're like, we know you're not going to pay them in free agency, so just get rid of Kobe White now. They could have got a first round pick for like probably a pretty decent first round pick for Kobe White a year ago.
Yes.
And they chose to not do it. And then when Kobe White wants to get paid, just like every other player who is in Kobe White's mold, then they decide to move him and they only get 2 seconds on the net. Like, they're just, they drive me insane, like, even from a neutral perspective. But I think the value of tanking for the rest of the season, the cap space they'll get, plus the second round picks they added. I know everyone's mad at them. They didn't get a first. They could use some of those seconds to get into the late first. Like, I think on the whole, like, I would give them like a B for this deadline.
The deadline, the motto of this deadline is better late than never.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. So you did something, so yeah, B is probably solid. I mean, honestly, if we're just rating them on this deadline, it might even be an A. They did pretty well for the value that they had.
I'm still docking them for not trading these guys earlier.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
It's the Toronto Raptors thing.
I think the only other like really big one we have to get to is the Cavs, right?
Yeah, the Cavs made a lot of moves. They traded for James Harden, Darius Garland for James Harden. They traded for Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder. That was the DeAndre Hunter move. Yeah, I mean, the Cavs didn't seem like they had any moves in store. Didn't seem like they could do much. James Harden is just a better player than Darius Garland, regardless of whether we like that trade for the Clippers or not. Yeah. James Harden is still one of the 30 or 40 best players in the NBA. Yeah. Let's say 30. And if you want to add like the caveat of Harden will probably be a disaster at some point in the playoffs, sure. I think he's really going to help their bigs. I think he is probably going to hurt their defense, but not any more than Darius Garland would. In fact, he might even a locked in Harden in the playoffs is probably just better than Darius Garland, who can be actually targeted for his defensive deficiencies in a playoff series. And like, he shot like shit for most of that game the other night, and he wasn't trying on defense, and the Kings hung with them. But Uno came up big at the end of his debut with the Cavs, and I think that for a team that's trying to do this double big thing, he's going to help both of those guys a lot. I think he'll help Jason Tyson a lot. They are way too deep at guard. But as people have pointed out, like, the Keon Ellis move makes more sense now that they traded Darius Garland for James Harden. Like, them and Dennis Schroeder. Like, Dennis Schroeder is getting a backup point guard off the bench, combined with, like, Keon Ellis can play minutes with James Harden in a way that I don't think Darius Garland could have. And I like this deadline from them. Like, at first I was like, what do they do? Like, what is happening? Like, but like, this is, I still think that the downside is massive here, because the downside is like, oh, you lose in the second round of the playoffs this year, and Harden walks or wants a trade like he always does. And, like, then you're looking at like a team that's just like losing depth and losing whatever. But if Darius Garland is just injured and not going to be available this year, you have to do everything to keep Donovan Mitchell happy, right? Like, that's kind of the reason why they did this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this. Okay. Our goat Bill went on Instagram and continued his months-long heat check with another instant classic Bill video where he pretends he's the Cavs front office. And we keep losing in the playoffs in really embarrassing fashion. What should we do to solve this?
Trade for James Harden.
We should trade for James Harden, which is a hilarious bit. But can I say, I kind of like, isn't Donovan Mitchell kind of exactly who you want to back up when James Harden is having a disaster class?
I can't have this conversation again, because we've said this about like 7 different players at this point, and it's always the same. Wouldn't you? And now,
we never said that about the Sixers.
We definitely never said that about the Sixers. That is fair. No. That is very fair.
We never said that about the Sixers, and I do think like Kawhi Leonard is such a weird player that it's like I don't know. That is,
and look, they lost to the Nuggets, and yes, it was an embarrassing Game 7 in classic James Harden fashion. Yeah. But you do have to admit that like the Nuggets were like had a real chance to win the championship last year, and they pushed them to the brink, and then they pushed the champions to the brink, and they were coming off of, you know, they're 2 years removed from a title, and that was probably the best first round matchup that we got last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
But I can't do I just can't do, well, wouldn't you want to have this guy to like close games thing? Because we've just done it with Harden, with Kevin Durant. We've done it with Harden, with Kawhi Leonard. We've done it with Harden.
To be fair, we never saw it with Kevin Durant. Like,
that's fair, but why did we not see it with Kevin Durant?
Well, because
Harden got impatient. I love James Harden, and I'm very appreciative for what he did for the Sixers, and I think he's one of the greatest characters in the history of the NBA.
Definitely.
But James Harden's impatience is something that happens with every single team, no matter where he goes, whether he was right or wrong. It is just a factor of the James Harden experience. And I can't do at least you have this guy, because it feels like he is someone who's completely unreliable. But guess what? You know who's also completely unreliable? Darius Garland, who they traded and is worse in the playoffs than James Harden. Like, James Harden has Garland has had
he'll have 2 games. He had game 1 and 4 for you guys. Like
he gave us the shot to win that series in a way that most second options, quote unquote, would not have. And even if I'm not putting, I'm only putting my toe in the waters here. I'm not fully diving in. There is part of me that is like skeptical just because it's just Lucy with the football every time with Harden. But like Darius Garland, here's Darius Garland's playoff stats, who Bill loves, by the way. Bill loves Darius Garland.
Yeah.
And the league does not. Like that just
the
league doesn't like small guards. Like that's kind of what this like between the McCain thing and the Garland thing and the Kobe White thing and every small guard that was traded at this deadline and this past off season and all of that. It's just, I think that the Sixers calculation that they made and a lot of teams' calculations that they made is that if you have one small guard, like the Sixers do with Maxey, you have to surround that player with a ton of size in a way like the Knicks did, for example, in the last few playoff runs in order to cover up for some of their deficiencies. And Garland, while Mitchell is built a little bit more like a linebacker, I don't think that Garland and Mitchell was ever going to be a championship level backcourt. No. It's just a better, not even want to say better. It's just the new version of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, basically. And they did reach higher heights in the regular season, but like, so these are Darius Garland stats in the playoffs. Okay, in the regular season, Darius Garland last year averaged 20 points. Only 3 rebounds, but 6.7 assists. Had a really good year. He was an all-star, was awesome, right? 47-40. He had 47-40, 87 splits. In the playoffs, his average dropped to 18 points, 5 assists. And then he was shooting from the field 42% and 28% from 3. In his career, he shoots 42% from the field, 34% from 3 in the playoffs, and he is a massive defensive liability. Like that's just kind of the reality of what Darius Garland is in the playoffs. And while Harden also has his shortcomings, I think he's going to be really good for their bigs. I think this East is wide open, and they should be trying to make this kind of move, especially if Garland might not even be available the rest of this season. And I think that they have a puncher's chance in the East now in a way that I felt like I could not have seen happening if they kept Garland and just kept trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, even though Garland is a good player like we laid out. So I like this deadline for them. I still think there is massive downside, so I can't put it very high, but I would put it probably in like B. What do you think? You gonna push back?
I think it's an A, baby. I've completely talked myself into this. I was like, that's kind of a bad trade deadline deal. In like the 3 days since then, I've been like, no, this is perfect. The Cavs needed a shakeup like this. They were dead on arrival. This team was dead, and they have now positioned themselves to ride a James Harden high. Will it be good in 2 years? No. Who cares? Fucking go for it. Go all in. Get James Harden for like one fun playoff run. If we're going to suck off some of these other teams, if we're going to get mad at the Sixers for not capitalizing on the window, we have to talk out the same side of our mouth here and praise the Cavs for.
There is a happy medium, but yes, I do understand what you're saying. There's a little bit like Harden's 36, and like we have a decade of evidence that he's been pretty bad in game sevens.
Like, also, you know me, I love information gathering. I love putting guys in situations. If Jared Allen can't succeed with James Harden, you know he's a lemon.
In his first game with James Harden, he shot 90%.
This is what I'm saying. So like you make some of your other guys a lot better. I really do think I'm full Lucy with the football. I don't give a shit. I'm running towards it as fast as I can. I'm completely buying in for this. I think I love this for the Cavs. I've totally talked myself into it.
Is Kylie in the room with you? Is she right behind you?
Kylie has a gun. Yeah, Kylie has a gun on me. Like right now. No, I'm like not kidding though, because the more I thought about it, because like Donovan Mitchell shows the fuck up in the playoffs. That's like the thing that he is like done time and time again. I do think that this will be a substantially compromised Cavs defense. That said, I don't think there's a lot of teams in the East that can kind of take advantage of that in like a big way though. Like
that was the thing that I keep thinking about with. That's the thing that I keep thinking about with like when you talk about the Vooch thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the Knicks might be able to take advantage of that because what you were just talking about with like some of the rebounding stuff, but like I don't think Vooch is getting now. Maybe Cade can play him off the court in a Pistons series just because he has to guard the pick and roll and they haven't. But like if you don't have Jason Tatum, you're probably not beating either of those teams in a 7-game series anyway.
Yeah.
Like I keep thinking about like how like because like the Pacers were such a unique style of play and we're so like go at all times that they could figure out ways to just basically gas teams out and run them out of the building in a way that I don't see any team. Now, I think that the Pistons and the Knicks can win the conference, but I don't think that they're like going to present any unguardable kind of like things that you can't match in a series, right?
Correct.
Like I don't think there's any team in this conference that has just like a wild card style that makes it so that certain players are going to be completely unplayable. Now you might have a bad series, but it's not like a fundamental issue for a lot of teams. I think
the Celtics have kind of replaced the Miami Heat. I think the Celtics roster is very Miami Heat coded, where like they're
hustle
kind of
shooting. Yeah.
Well, they're like the most amorphous, you know what I'm saying? Like we're like, you know, like it's Jalen is the Jimmy, obviously. And like you have some of the other things, but I think that they're the weirdest team. I mean, obviously they're going to shoot a lot of threes, but I think they're going to give you like some lineup switches. I don't think anybody else in the East, and they're talent deficient, so it doesn't matter that much. I don't think anybody else in the East is like that. I think you know exactly what everybody else in the East is going to do on any given series. Like, was there anyone? Maybe the Sixers.
I'll say this much. I watched the Pistons Knicks the other night, and I know OG was out for that game, which I actually think OG. I've said it before. I think he's like their second or might be their second most important player because of what he does for them defensively.
Sure.
But in that game, I think that the Pistons, I think we might have been underrating the Pistons a little bit. Now, there might be a matchup where it's just the lack of shooting and secondary creation and all that stuff. The one thing we might have been underestimating about the Pistons is it's kind of like, you remember how when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and everyone was like, well, you just load up and try to stop Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, that's a lot easier said than done style thing, where it's like, you know exactly what the Eagles are going to do, but most teams just don't have the faculties to slow that down. Kind of felt that way watching the Pistons, where I was like, I know exactly what this team is going to do, but like they're not like the Cade pick and roll is not easy to cover. The rebounding in the defense is fucking incredibly consistent and great on a night-to-night basis. And it's really just going to come down to whether these guys can make their open shots that are being created out of those advantages. And we'll see. I'm very interested to see how this season closes, because there are a lot of interesting. I think we could even get like interesting like first round matchups in this East. Like I think like even like Pistons Hornets could be awesome, or Celtics Sixers, or Knicks Sixers. Like we're gonna get some really good first round matchups this year in a way that we haven't had in the East in the past. Because the 1-8 matchup in the East is always just a fucking stomping usually. Yeah. And I think 2-7 and 1-8 this year could actually have some realistic, like, competitive series.
Yeah.
Like, I think we could get a lot of fun, especially if our Hornets end up continuing their winning.
I don't want to see them. I don't want to see the Hornets.
I wouldn't want to see them either. If I were a top seed, like, I would be like, great, we just like the Pistons are going to win like 60 games.
Yeah.
The Pistons are going to win 60 games and like might get the hottest team in the NBA in the first round. Now they probably still win that series, but it's not an easy matchup to win for sure.
Demon Musa, baby.
No.
Watch out for Demon Musa on the glass.
So are there any other teams that you feel strongly about that you want to get up on the board?
There was one more. I mean, let's cut to the chase on this one.
Minnesota made a trade. Miami did not make any trades.
Yeah.
So Miami's
F tier.
They
right?
They suck.
Yeah, they suck. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't blame them for not making non-Giannis moves. Like, if they had made the Ja Morant move, I would have made a new tier for them even worse. But here's why this deadline absolutely fucking sucks for them. What did this deadline teach us? This deadline taught us if you want to get Giannis, you better have a lot of shit. Miami gave everything they possibly could.
Yeah.
And they still didn't have enough to sway the Bucks in a time that when we get to the offseason, the offers are going to be better for Giannis.
Yeah.
And if Giannis is your plan, which you've been really riding on for 4 years here of waiting out to get Giannis.
Yeah.
If that is your plan, you needed to trade Andrew Wiggins, Tyler Hero, unless you found out the Bucks were interested in Tyler Hero during this process. Yeah. But you needed to trade someone like Andrew Wiggins or someone like Norm Powell or someone that could get you realistic value back in the door to then include in a Giannis trade if you found out that they're not interested in those players. Because right now you're stuck in purgatory because you have continued to be stubborn about not trading players away for picks and giving yourselves a shot at the players that you actually want to acquire. And this is their 4th straight year that they're going to be in the play-in. And outside of the fluky 2023 run where they made it to the NBA Finals, they have won 1 playoff game the last 2 years. They could get into the playoffs this year, and I think they would get fucking stomped by the 1 or the 2 seed with this current roster
for sure. Yeah,
in its makeup. So if that is the case, then I think that they should be looking at a scenario where they should be projecting to get Giannis this summer. And now I think they have 0 shot to get Giannis.
Yeah.
And like they didn't position themselves for their goals. What are their goals? They are like Mo DeKeel was kind of cooking when he said this on Zach's podcast. He's like, they might just be the Bulls with a glamour market at this point. Like, what do they do? Where is the upside in any of this for them? No. I think that Pat Riley really overplayed his cards at this deadline. And I think that, I think they should have been moving into seller mode to try to get themselves.
How are you not trading Bam, dude? Like, get fucking real. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to get like there, I know they probably say they want to pair Bam with.
Well, that's like why, like the Sixers fans that wanted to trade Maxey, and I'm like, well, the leak we got was that Giannis wants to play with Maxey. So if the leak, if that's the scenario, but I don't think they have a chance to get Giannis. So like, what does that even matter? Like, Bam's so great at recruiting stars. Like who? He's in his 10th year in the NBA. Or 7th or 8th, 9th year in the NBA. He never recruited anyone.
He's not the best basketball player in his own household, man. Like, come on. I mean, to be fair, that's what comes with the territory. When
pretty high bar.
Yeah, I was gonna say you are dating the GOAT, so I think are one of the GOATs at least. Yeah, man, I don't know. They were a disaster at this trade deadline. But there was another. Who was the other? Let's do Timber. We got to start getting right. The Timberwolves and the Wizards were the other 2 I wanted to talk about. So
Wizards, let's go Wizards because they traded for. We know the Trae Young trade. We've talked about that ad nauseum. The Anthony Davis trade was even if this is kind of similar to the James Harden, Lucy with the football. That's fantastic value for Anthony Davis. If he can ever play 60 games again, which by the way, I know he's been really injured. He did play that much for the Lakers like a year ago. And then like we don't have a large sample of him playing a lot of games. No. But I don't know. I kind of like the move. Like, I think it's just like a low risk. They traded 2 late first for Anthony Davis, who when healthy is still one of the 15 to 20 best players in the NBA.
And I'll just say this again. I think it's just like the Trae Young move, where it's on its face, great value. How this move is going to look in retrospect is almost entirely dictated by what you do next.
But the reports are that they might be willing to talk to Trae Young, but they're not with Anthony Davis until they see him be healthy. And that's the right move.
That's correct, man. Like, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Make him make you pay him, and then, like, play a man. Like, Anthony Davis, dude, I'm sorry. Like, who is that? Somebody, I saw a podcaster was talking, had a like come to Jesus speech with Cam Thomas about like how you've got to go when you like buy in or something. I don't know if you saw that clip. It was a podcast.
I saw that. Yeah.
Apply that clip to Anthony Davis now, dude. Like, I'm like not even barely kidding. I know you're a top 75 all-time player. Supposedly, you're in danger of losing your career, dude. Like, you can't just sit out and demand trades anymore. That's fucking gone.
People love to say that. That is such a Mickey selection for the top 75, dude. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now look, if we eliminated the guys who shouldn't be on there that were on there because they were on like the 50th team or whatever, then Anthony Davis absolutely would make it. But for the players that he made it over, like he would be bumped for Jokic, who wasn't on the list. Now he would be bumped. Embiid. Like, Embiid didn't make it. Dwight Howard didn't make it. Like, Anthony, that is his best whatever. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is because the expectations were just so high for him. But Anthony Davis, I feel like, has been coasting on a lot of past performance stuff. And I do agree with you that he needs to kind of show that he's still got it. And
we give that grace to young players. He's
32.
Came in, took the Lakers by storm. Like, yeah, I love championships and clutch. Big dog, you're supposed to be our number one.
Oh, you know who else wasn't on the top 75 that will be on the top 100 when we do it? Jake Alexander.
Yeah.
Better career than Anthony Davis. Like,
it's not even a question anymore.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, while AD is kind of coasting on that accomplishment and has had a great career, and even if it was a little bit disappointing for what we thought he could possibly be, this is still such a good buy low from them. Like, I like this trade more. I don't know if I think I like this trade more than I like the Trae Young trade, because they did have to give up a little bit more value, but like the upside, and I talked about this when we talked about like the guys that could potentially be moved. The two guys that I felt like I can't fully give up on, even, and maybe we get one more year of Anthony Davis and I do give up on him, but like LaMelo and AD were the two guys I felt like could have restored their value on new teams. And LaMelo's done it on his own team, so good for him. Yeah. But like Ja, Zion, even Trae to an extent, like Trae's still good, but like Trae is just, when you have Trae on your team, you have to build your team around Trae's deficiencies in a way that I don't think you have to do with AD. And I think that the AD SAR front court, we'll see what happens with them in the draft. Maybe that makes it a little bit more complicated, but I really like this move from them, to be honest. Like, I think that they turned expiring contracts into two late firsts into a flyer on a player who can still be, all NBA, potential all-star in the East.
It's so funny because when this trade leaked, I immediately was like, this is a disastrous trade for the Wizards, because I didn't know what the protections were on those picks.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, they're fake. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I thought they were giving up their pick, and like, I thought they were giving up like their pick in this draft. And I was like, that is then
I would have given them an F. I would have been like, this is one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen.
Yeah. But
I'll put it in an A. I think
that's what I was going to suggest. I think we put them in A, dude. Like,
yeah. So the Mavericks were on the other side of the trade, by the way. I still don't mind it for the Mavericks. I feel like with the Clippers and the Pacers thing, where it's like, I get both sides of this, because it was never going to work with AD on the Mavericks. Like,
look
it's just
Flag's box scores since this, dude. Like,
it's just better to move on for the Mavericks and get this whole thing. And they lucked out getting Cooper Flag, so they can take their medicine and they only got two late firsts. And by the way, I don't know if the only guy that's even somewhat interesting in this trade, and he's probably just terrible, to be completely honest, is AJ Johnson.
Yeah.
AJ Johnson, if you catch him on the right night, you're like, oh, so this is a superstar? And then you look at his stats and you're like, this is the worst player of all time. It is shocking because he is so athletic. He is someone who can create his own offense. He doesn't have a ton of passing juice, but for someone of his archetype, he doesn't have zero passing juice.
Yep.
He has like occasionally will have these games where he's shooting like logo threes. And he's like 20 years old and he hasn't played a ton of basketball because he didn't really play on his pro team. And he really only had, I watched 2 games of him on the Wizards just randomly. It was like, this guy is him. And then then he has like a -6 BPM and he shoots like 36% from the field. And I'm like, oh, I guess he just sucks.
Yeah,
but I will say, if you catch him on the right night, I don't think that's a nothing flyer from them. I don't know. Odds are he's not good. He's probably just out of the league.
Why not? They're rebuilding. They have plenty of opportunity. Like they are all about opportunity right now. So
and if anything, you can do the Isaiah Collier, Ace Bailey thing that the Jazz have been doing and be like, go cook. The Wizards did it last year and it helped them get worse odds better odds in the draft. That's what the Mavericks should be doing for the rest of this season. Because if you could compare Cooper Flag with another top 5 or 6 pick, then you're cooking with gas. And by the way, because this Anthony Davis thing went the way it did, that's kind of the only way that you can build a decent team around Flag over the next few years.
This is the opportunity you got to do with this draft. So might as well be bad right now.
Yeah, exactly. So from the Mavericks perspective, it was a sunk cost. It was like, I don't think they did great, but I'm just like, whatever. They'll probably blow it up further this summer, trading PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford and maybe Kyrie. And I'd give it a C. Like, I don't think it's great. I don't think it's
I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's just fine.
They held it. Can I give you a little bit of a hot take?
Yes.
I want to put the Nets in D.
D?
Yeah.
What did they even do? They got Josh
Minott. Trade Michael Porter Jr., dude. I think you needed to trade Michael Porter Jr.
The rumor is that they wanted to do it this offseason because they think that they can get, I don't know if they could get more value this offseason, but they think that there are more teams that can make the trade this offseason. Like the Rockets just were not going to trade for Michael Porter Jr. at this deadline. But if they miss out on, if they want to go in on Giannis, and they like Will's idea was basically like the Nets swap back for next year with Jabari Smith Jr. For Michael Porter Jr. so they can tank next year. And I was like, that isn't, and like Jabari isn't nothing, you know what I mean? And Michael Porter Jr. would be a lot more additive to a team like the Rockets than he would be to a team than Jabari Smith would be right now. But
I mean, we'll see, man. But like, I just feel like they didn't get like a ton of value for like the amount of cap space that they had and some of the like good players that they had. I don't know. Like, what
did they do? They took Minott, your guy.
I mean, I do love that. I do love getting Minott, but like
they got a second round pick with Minott, right? Didn't they?
I think it might be a fake one though. Like I think that was just.
It doesn't matter. They got your boy Minott. I can't believe
my boy Minott. I do love Minott. I think Minott is good. I just think like this was a team that was kind of positioned to kind of own this trade deadline, and they did nothing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. They waived Cam Thomas. They got Josh Minott. They got Ochai Agbaji. They got Hunter Tyson, and they waived him. They got a second round pick to do that. They got a second round pick to take on Ochai Agbaji, and they also waived Tyrese Martin.
I think Ochai Agbaji is like a fine flyer. Like I think he showed me enough in the NBA where he's like okay. But
the Jordy Fernandez wingflation program is always with Minott and him is like always a worthy gamble. Like all you lost was 2 guards that probably weren't going to play for you anyway. And you're going to tank for the rest of the season. I do agree that they probably could have gotten more. But it feels like the teams like for example, like I don't think this is likely, but like could we see a scenario where like the Sixers trade Paul George's contract with the first they just got from the Rockets and a future first for Michael Porter Jr. this offseason?
I mean, maybe. I'm just saying like you better nail it this offseason because if you don't, you've fucked it. You know what I'm saying? You're in danger of doing what we just talked about, like with some of the other teams. So
we'll put them in C.
You can put them in C. I didn't like it.
To me, they didn't do bad, but they also didn't do good. And I don't think that they have to worry about being too good down the stretch of the season. And like, look, I'll say this much. Even if they don't trade Michael Porter Jr., at a certain point, they're going to want to be competitive again. And like, I don't think having Michael Porter Jr. makes you too good in the interim to tank.
But then you have to pay him again.
But what if they can get him on like a reasonable contract? If he wants to get $50 million a year, then yeah, you trade him. But like if he'll come back at like 390, like I wouldn't hate having a spacer like Michael Porter Jr. who can rebound on the team.
I just don't think, knowing what we know about Michael Porter Jr. and his public appearances, I would be very surprised if Michael Porter Jr. has a calm and rational view of himself as
That's fair.
person, like, so I think this fell into their laps.
Waving Cam Thomas hurts the tank for sure.
I just feel like they had a real opportunity drop into their lap with Cam Thomas having such a good year because I do think this is kind of fake.
Like Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But Michael Porter Jr. and I do think this is like kind of fake. And you were the only team with cap space, and like, look, it's not nothing to get like a couple of seconds, but I find it very hard to believe there wasn't a better way to use that cap space.
Well, the last time they did this and we were like, why aren't they trading Cam Johnson? They got Michael Porter Jr. in a first to do it, unprotected. And
that's true.
That turned out to be really good for them. So I think they've earned a little bit, I think that Marks and his patience with the Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson trades has earned a little bit of break for me, where it's like if he was not getting good offers, because like what team was going to trade? Like the Pistons were like, we're good, and once the Pistons were good and then the Warriors lost Jimmy, it was just like, all right, well, there's half the market gone, and I just don't know what trade was out there to make. If we find out that there was like a good trade for them to make, I will recant my opinion on this, but I don't think there was a good one.
And I think that they could have, again, I don't like getting boxed into having to make a move in one time frame, because a lot can go wrong. Like, so
sure.
If something weird happens this offseason and like Giannis doesn't get traded, and then you have to like move Michael, like what if Michael Porter Jr. gets hurt in the next like 4 months? Like it's, I don't know. I don't love it, but maybe it'll work out. So
do we want to do speed round, put the Magic in S for dumping Tyus Jones so Jace Richardson has to play for?
Yeah, kind of, to be honest. I think that was a great move.
I'll put them in B. I will.
Yeah, I think that was
I genuinely think that's an additive thing that they did.
I'm not kidding. That's like a massive move.
Also, they signed Javon Carter, who I think actually has a chance to be like a fringe rotation guy for them down the stretch of this season and not be Tyus Jones.
Does Alvarado push the Knicks into B tier? He was hooping for them in that game. You unplugged your mic. He was hooping for them in that game. I watched yesterday's game, and he was really, it was exactly what you'd expect, but he was really playing well.
They have too many small guards, but if Deuce is out, I like the Flyer. Like, I think it's, if you look at those picks, by the way, why the fuck did the Pelicans do this?
I don't know, dude.
They got, the seconds they got are like dog shit. Like,
by the way, while we're here, put them in F to speed this along.
They suck, dude. They suck.
Where
even are they? Are they not on here?
No, they're fourth.
They're fourth. Right. There we go.
Yeah,
they suck.
Trill has selective Pelicans. Yeah. They suck, except when next week when we're there.
I will be rooting for the Sixers, so they still suck. Now look, they probably had no real market for the guys that they like. No one was overpaying for Trey Murphy or Herb Jones at this deadline. But the fact that they made them untouchable is laughable.
Yes.
When we talked about what the Grizzlies have done versus what they've done. And then on top of that, the Jose Alvarado, they got 2 bad seconds for Jose Alvarado, who, look, he's not going to fucking change your world, but he's a solid six man.
He can play in the playoffs, dude. Like, I really do, even though he's small. Like, I kind of like that move for the Knicks. He
might be their TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are either B or C, but the high C, low B. I don't know what you would call that.
They didn't do much, but they also couldn't do anything. They got rid of Yabu for nothing, and they got Jose Alvarado, who will be a good Deuce McBride replacement because he's probably out for the year. So,
Raptors traded dumped Ochai Agbaji, and
the Dodgers attacks. They didn't do anything. Oh, they got Trey Jackson Davis.
Oh, I kind of like that, to be totally honest.
They got him for a second round pick. He's certainly going to be better for them than Ochai.
Yeah,
so they I think they did 2 second round picks in Ochai Agbaji, and they got Trey Jackson Davis.
I think that's still a C, but it's like a fine C. Yeah,
they couldn't do anything else. They have too many bad contracts to really make. I'm glad for their fans they didn't make this bonus move. Yes. I think that would have been a disaster. Yeah, I think they're better off not doing that and seeing what they have. I'm putting the Thunder in A.
Oh yeah, getting McCain on a buy low, consolidate some assets. Like, yeah, why not? Yeah,
he played the other day for them, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't really do much in that game, and he was still a plus 13 in like 12 minutes. And I was like, this is just classic. This guy is just going to farm on offs.
Jared McCain and Hugo Gonzalez plus minus.
What did they do exactly except for just farm plus minus? The other guy that was the highest plus minus for the Thunder in that game, Isaiah Joe, who did a lot. So they've gotten 2 Sixers combo guards who shoot the shit out of the ball and are great locker room guys for basically a late first. And the Sixers are sitting here, with their glut of guards. So
yeah, Hugo Gonzalez is basically like wing Mitchell Robinson is how I would describe him. Where he's just like just a dynamo and like active. Like,
I liked
crazy active.
I want to say I don't know if his name is Rafe
Rafe LaFrance. Yeah.
Why can't I say his name? That's what his name is. We have someone named that in the Discord, named after Celtics legend, and Mavericks legend, Rafe LaFrance. But I cannot say his name. It's a tongue twister. But he said he's kind of like a diet Tari Eason about Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually really like that comp for him. Is like and maybe in time being like on
he's young enough,
good, but yeah.
He could be really good. The Celtics fans get a little over their skis about him because they love him so much, but like, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Bill saying you should go 4th overall in a redraft is a little bit much, but that's you guys have it's like the Knicks with Mohamed Diawara, where it's like he has like these like 3 flashes a game, and I'm like, when you have like we had this with Ricky Council a little bit, where it's like whoa, and I'm not saying like maybe like these guys end up being good, but what I'm trying to say is when you don't have a lot of young players, when they have those little flashes, it is like heroin.
It's crack. You feel good. I'm
gonna eat it up. Like it is. It hits so good,
especially when they're like really young, like Hugo Gonzalez is. Like when Baylor Shireman's good, it's like, okay, well, he's 22, he's supposed to be good, or 25. No, he's fucking even older than that.
He should be in a retirement home, dude. So the Blazers, the Vic Krejci trade, I'm putting him in B.
S. I know. Yeah, that's fine.
They traded 2 seconds for Vit. I like Vit on their team. Like they need shooting, they need passing. Good fit.
Not? I don't have an opinion on that one, but so I'll defer to you. But
we love Vit. The Timberwolves, the IO trade.
So, great.
The first game, not so great, but they played the Clippers, who have been kind of cooking recently.
Yeah.
And they gave up 4 seconds to go get IO. The only thing is, and I wanted the Sixers to be in an IO, to be clear, but the only thing is they have nothing left. Like they're gonna have to make trade, and that's why I think I like this trade for them, is because they don't have seconds, they don't have firsts. They just traded away Rob Dillingham's contract, which was one of the few tradable contracts on the team just for salary matching purposes.
Yep.
And there's a chance someone gives IO $15 million this offseason and they have to let him walk just like they let Nickeil Alexander walk last offseason. Having said that, IO is at least a rotation level guard / wing that will be in their rotation for the rest of this season. Did you see the Rudy Gobert stuff where he was basically like saying like, if players don't try, they should get benched, and he's 100% talking about Julius Randle? Like I think we could see another Conley Chad move this offseason, which by the way, I said on Twitter before the deadline, I said Tim Conley is who people think Daryl Morey is. He takes risks. He pushes in the chips.
He's my favorite GM, dude. I love him so much. Like
the Rob Dillingham trade is probably the thing that is going to age the worst for him, and it was a risk. At least
he got off it. He didn't try to give Rob minutes for like 6 years on a good team, like
I agree with the sunk cost fallacy. I don't disagree there. They traded 2 unprotected picks.
Yeah,
basically, and 4 seconds for IO on the aggregate here.
Yeah, I mean that's tough. I'm not gonna
really tough. This is if we're gonna judge teams for past things like we did with the Heat and the Bulls and all that. For this deadline in a vacuum, I still like the IO move enough to put them in B.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I don't know. The vibes are weird there, dude.
Yeah,
Vibes are weird with them. Like the Rockets and the Wolves have some of the weirdest vibes in the NBA right now.
I will say that Will was cooking. Will said this in our chat. The Wolves are going to make the Western Conference Finals again. Everybody should get ready for that.
Third straight.
Yeah.
Jokic gets injured.
yeah, he's cooking on that one. Because he was saying the Nuggets have weird vibes too. Like
this was them last year. This was last year at this time. We were like, I don't know. And then they just make it. 2 years ago was like the only year they've ever had good vibes. So the Rockets didn't do anything. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they should have.
I think it's fine to do nothing, So see. Yeah.
This season's just kind of a weird, maybe lost season for them.
Lakers didn't give anything up.
They got Luke Kennard for Gabe Vincent and a second round pick.
Oh. What was the second?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Who cares?
If it was a high second, that's kind of bad. But if it was like 45 or lower, whatever. I'm assuming it's their own pick. Like
I think it's their own pick.
Yeah. It's like, who cares? Fuck it.
Yeah.
See, we don't have to digress on that one.
Yeah, I don't really care about Luke Kennard. I don't think he makes a difference, but I also think he's better than Gabe Vincent.
He is better than Gabe Vincent.
Yeah. Also, they're going to get a buyout. They might, if they get Haywood Highsmith, I think he's the best. That's probably the best fit for both of them because they need a point of attack defender, and
he's good. Why did no one sign him? I guess because nobody's in the aprons anymore. There's only 3 apron teams now. Did you know that?
He's injured. He has to clear waivers, and then I think he just cleared waivers because they waived him like a week or 2 ago. And then he'll get a team. The team will pick him up. But he was just starting to ramp up. So he was gonna play after the All-Star break for the Nets. So it's whatever. The Kings suck, dude. The Kings are idiots, man.
Yeah.
Trading for DeAndre Hunter is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Now they did do lack of sunk cost fallacy on Dennis Schroeder, but they also fucking signed him to that contract.
Yeah, no, that ass. Yeah, we don't even need to.
They would have sucked down the stretch no matter what their team looked like. Taking on a year of DeAndre Hunter was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen from them. They suck.
They suck.
The Suns didn't really do anything. They got your boy Cole Anthony. They might waive him though. I think.
Didn't they get out of the tax?
They did. They dodged the tax. Yeah, they dodged the tax, which is actually pretty impressive. Kind of similar to what you were saying.
About I kind of like they have a competitive team. They're better than they were last year while ducking the tax.
That's actually crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. I have to, that was one of the bleakest situations in the NBA, like very recently. And it's still pretty bleak, but it's like, they might have clawed their way out of the bottom 5 though. Like,
by the way, I've seen Dylan Brooks get a lot of love for what he's brought to this team. I do just want to put my flag on this island still. Dylan Brooks is a loser. Fuck Dylan Brooks. Not just because of the Sixers game the other day when he was complaining about us flopping when he was flopping the whole fucking game, but because every year he does this thing in the regular season where he gets everyone hyped and then his team loses in the first round every year. And I actually like a lot of this Suns team. I think he fucking sucks and I will be gladly seated for when they lose in the first round. And I will be eating it up when he's going on some fascist fucking stream and talking shit on some of the best players in the NBA. I think it's great that he thinks that he can get away with that. Although he wasn't wrong about DeMar DeRozan. Unfortunately, love DeMar though. He seems like a great guy. The Suns, what did they do? They got out of the tax.
Anthony, they got rid of Nick Richards, got out of the tax.
I think they're waiving Cole Anthony, if I remember correctly. I heard say that.
Getting out of the tax is legitimately kind of impressive. So, high C.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah, they're fine. Nuggets. Did the Nuggets do anything?
I don't think so.
I think they made.
Oh, they Hunter Tyson. They
salary dumped him to get out of the tax. So sure, they didn't need to do anything though. So we'll put them in C2.
Yeah.
The Spurs didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
They didn't make anything. Like they didn't even trade Sohan.
No.
So. I don't know if this. Before I felt like the Pistons and the Spurs should have done stuff. But I feel like
Spurs have kind of cooled off. I think it's fine to wait another year.
Get in
the playoffs and see how that goes, man. Like I think it's fine. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe they did do something. I'm just gonna look at
Keldon Johnson. They kept their Champagne brother. Like
they did nothing.
Yeah.
They did the Rockets, and I think them and the Rockets are the only teams that did. Then Miami are the only teams that did nothing.
Yeah. I think that's fine. So I think that's
yeah.
a C.
Yeah.
Warriors. I feel bad putting them in D tier, but I do think that we cannot put them in the C tier. I think they need to be punished a little bit for
Kuminga and Buddy Hield for Porzingis. That was basically their deadline. And then they salary dumped Trace Jackson Davis. Converted
that
Pat
feels
Spencer.
Like that feels like the what's the cope space plan, the COPD plan is what I would call this one, because this is like he's not going to play for them. It's a made up player. He's not going to be in about. People are saying I'm seeing Warriors fans cope being like, well, he could give us a little bit. No, I'm sorry. I've seen Kristaps Porzingis, this ill version of him. He's not going to do anything. You've been bamboozled and tricked. Now, getting off Kuminga,
he was good. He was good for the Hawks, but he only played 400 minutes.
What's I'm saying? It's not what you guys need.
Part-time player.
I
would say a healthy Porzingis would really help them, but that's just not a player anymore.
That's not what. Yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying is not what you need. They need bodies, and this guy will not be a body for you. Kuminga would probably help you more, and maybe that's part of the plan to.
I think they're going to. I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to get Porzingis on like a super scam contract this offseason. Like they're going to be like, we'll give you $6 million a year, and like if you play great, if not, we'll trade it.
They're gonna bring out some of the most racist white women you've ever seen from the Palantir offices to try to like entice him into like a honeypot style scam. This is Katerina Islamov. Her name is Based Tradwife63 on Twitter. You might know her from your follows. Have you?
Oh yeah, I saw her posting about the Kid Rock halftime show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she learned. She's doing really great things with coding Ring doorbells to shoot people who should try to ask you for cups of sugar.
I just put this comment up from Jack just to trigger Sam. The Warriors know how to get Mickey Mouse.
The further away from it, the more mad I get, dude. Like I'm just that is forever. If you don't like me, take pleasure in knowing that every sports success will turn to ash in my mouth because the 2022 losing the 2022 finals is like the great relief. Like I'm so mad that we lost.
So you want to put them in D? I think that I don't think they could have done anything at this deadline. I think honestly, I put them in C.
I don't know. Like could have tried
to move on, dude. Like it's time, bro. Even if they waive Porzingis right now, I would be fine with trading.
Lose him dare him to get a contract from somebody, dude.
No, end this fucking nightmare, dude. I can't talk about. I'm so happy that
you're doing that for yourself, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I don't care. I'm giving them a C because I'm so relieved we never have to pretend that Jonathan Kuminga matters ever again.
But now we have to pretend Porzingis matters.
I don't care. Even if they waive him right now, it's additive to get off of Jonathan Kuminga, just so we don't ever have to talk about this guy again. He is the most prestige zone player in the history of the prestige zone. Jesus Christ.
Pistons did nothing. I think they should get a B for that. No, never mind.
Let's just put him in C. We have half the league in C, but that's kind of how the trade deadline played out. So, the Hornets. Kobe White for 2 seconds, basically.
Sure.
Sign landlord Pat. I like Kobe's fit with their style.
Sure.
Let's put him in
landlord Pat.
Let's put him in A, baby.
A. I don't know about A. B.
We'll dock him one spot for signing a landlord.
Yep.
So the last one is the Atlanta Hawks, who traded for Kobe. And by the way, it's very funny. I just said he doesn't matter and whatever. Yeah. If Porzingis is never going to play, at least you could pick up the option on Kuminga and have another tradable trade contract for next deadline.
Right. Yeah,
and same with Buddy Hield. Yeah, so but for the Warriors' perspective, I just could not have done another year of will they, won't they with that. From the Hawks' perspective, it's a low risk flyer, just like you did with Porzingis, but you gave up even less value to do it.
Yeah, got Trae Young
got Jock Landale cash. For cash, I think that was fine. And I think that was good. And then I think that they dumped Luke Kennard. That was, and Buddy Hield is just another version of Luke Kennard. So
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So I'll give them
they'd B. Solid deadline.
Solid B.
I kind of wish this team was better. because I don't feel great continuing to say that Hawks, but this is the offseason that's going to be formative. So we'll make some calls on them on.
So yeah, I mean, they just have to see what happens with the pick before they make any like real moves. Which the Pelicans pick they own is like kind of their fortune in the future. Okay, so we have no S tier teams. Do you want to change that? Right now, our A tier is Celtics, Clippers, Cavs, Wizards, and Thunder.
Jack is saying Clippers S tier. I don't think it's quite S tier. Like there's risk with. I don't think anybody earned themselves an S tier.
No, I don't think that anyone crushed the deadline so greatly that they should be an S tier.
Yeah.
Our B tier is the Grizzlies, Pacers, Bulls, Magic, Knicks,
Blazers,
Wolves, Hornets, Hawks. All right, I'm gonna move. I'm moving the Magic down. I know they dumped Tyus Jones just to play Jace Richardson more. That's great. They didn't do anything else. They just signed.
But like
that's just taking away a player from your coach to do that.
But he makes doesn't he make like a pretty decent amount of money? Was he a minimum?
$7 million.
Like that's kind of hard. It was kind of hard to dump that for nothing. I don't know. I still think it's B, but that's fine.
All right, whatever. We'll put him back in B. Fuck it. All right, then we have in the C tier, we have the Bucks, the Jazz, the Mavericks, the Nets, the Raptors, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Spurs, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Pistons. By the way, the Lakers part of this, I do just want to point out, Sam, that the Lakers, their fans were all mad that they didn't do anything at this step. They shouldn't have done anything at this step.
They shouldn't have done anything.
This team's not winning a title. This time's probably not even winning a playoff.
This team's not winning a playoff series, dude.
Yeah. They're probably not winning a playoff series. And if they're not winning a playoff series, just wait until the offseason. I know it sucks that you have to do, but this is what happens when you trade for Luka Doncic in the fashion that they did. Yes. Like they just don't, and Austin Reeves is a free agent. Like they just don't have, and so is LeBron. Like what else could they have done? There's really nothing they could have done that would have made me love this deadline for them. The only team in D tier is the Sixers. Fuck them. The Heat, the Pelicans, and the Kings are in F tier. The Heat, along with the Pelicans and the Kings.
I stand by it. I think that's.
I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying how the mighty have fallen. This is a front office that we put in the S tier when we did our rankings like 2.5-3 years ago.
This is what happens when you suck shit for that long. When you give away Jimmy Butler for nothing, fuck up the Tyler Hero thing. And it's not even the worst case scenario because they could have been the team holding the Dame lemon, like too.
I still am dying on the hill that Dame would have taken fucking adrenochrome and been good for them, but that's different. So hold on.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I know we're 2 hours and 15 minutes in, so you're gonna want to bounce, but Patriots Super Bowl. I'm
here to be held accountable for what happened.
It is your fault. Everything is your fault.
I will say I did start feeling bored and punchy going into the game. So I did start like just openly antagonizing a bunch of my friends on the timeline. So like was that me? Just finding like Steelers fans, Bills fans, all of my usual punching bags and telling them that this
karmic justice for really. I do think the person that could be solely blamed for this for the Patriots is Bill Simmons, because Bill Simmons was talking in a way that I really did not expect him to be like, because basically his whole thing was like, I did agree that the Patriots as a whole, as a team, were being underrated because of the defense.
Yes.
In a situation where, like you saw from the jump of the game, they were trying to be aggressive and pick up. Like they knew.
I think they were the second best defense in the NFL. They basically went toe to that defense went toe to toe with other defenses and outplayed. Every game they played was a defensive like bout, and the Pats defense outside of the Seahawks team, that defense won. Like their defensive matchups. So I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I'm seeing a lot of cope. I mean, did you listen to Bill, by the way?
I listened to some of it. I mean, I was dude, the silver linings he did at the top with Sal just laughing the whole time. Dude. When he was basically like, Sam Darnold didn't play that well. And Sal was like, yeah, Sam Darnold didn't play that well.
Dude. Generational, by the way. Shout out to Sal for rising to the moment. Because that was a generational.
Oh, dude,
I don't think there's ever been a guest spot as anticipated as cousin Sal.
Netflix Sal was special, dude.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about him. Quick speaking of this, I tweeted this. I have to say, when I knew the game was over was when I saw Chiodo come in from the top rope.
I'm reading the tweets because I was literally crying laughing that this popped up on my timeline.
Yeah.
So the tweet, I went to Chiodo's timeline. He retweeted this.
Yeah.
And it's just the Chiodo taunt on the timeline is how I know it's over. It felt like a shotgun to the chest. And then the 3 tweets before this from Chiodo were, how do you kick the extra point there? This is one of the worst QBs I've ever seen. IDK. By the way, I do just want to point out,
yeah,
Chiodo was early on like the Drake May is really good thing, like last year.
Yeah.
And has been kind of like, oh no, he's like him. And then was just like in utter shock at how bad he was in this game. And then the last thing Chiodo said was they need to strip the AFC title. I'm being very serious. These guys cannot be allowed to hang a banner.
Yeah, I think that was the one. There was one on there because Chiodo does it until it's over. Like if it's his team, he'll be ridiculous on the timeline. Sure. But a neutral observer Chiodo will only coronate like when it's over. Like and that I felt the air go out of my sails. I'll say this too. I was telling you off the air. I got sucked back in. I thought the devil magic was coming.
Everyone did. Like they're lying to you, and we said this when Drake May. So they score the touchdown in like 3 plays.
Yeah,
and then the Seahawks get 1 first down, and then they go 3 and out.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was like, okay, the Patriots have a chance here. Then they get pinned deep. And then there's the 3rd and like 6, and May gets like 20 yards on a scramble. And I'm like, oh, they're coming back to win this game. And then like within 2 plays, he threw one of the worst picks I've ever seen in my life.
Again, a little bit of inside baseball for our listeners. I had my phone open and I told Trill this. I was literally halfway through writing a tweet that said, the Seahawks will win this game, which I didn't really believe. I was just saying that to cover myself. The Seahawks will win this game, but I would be terrified if I were a Seahawks fan. And
I would have been shitting myself.
As I was typing that, I paused typing it because this is the other thing I didn't say. I'm in my group chat.
I sent into our Discord. I don't feel so good from the Avengers where he just melts away the second that Drake May got that, and then by the time it's sent, he had already thrown the interception. That was one of the most confusing things I've ever seen from a good quarterback in a big spot.
I paused sending that text to defend myself in the group chat, in one of my friends in group chat who I'll name check my Michael Bradley, a stalwart of Philly Twitter, was giving me shit. My good friend Pei Chang was being the biggest hater in the world. So he was putting up a generational performance, destroying me. And I started recording a voice memo to start we're coming back. You guys are coping.
Yeah, it's 28-3, but
it's 28-3. Like come back and stuff. And while I'm recording that, he throws the pick. So I took a screenshot of the voice memo because you can see him say, "Oh my God, how did he fucking do that?" So there was a lot of disastrous things. I mean, here's what I'll say. I Monday morning quarterback this after the thing. I'm seeing a lot of cope, like well, if we were any other team, people would be celebrating us. I was like, don't care, loser. That's how losers think. Shut up.
Chiodo did. He also cooked when he said they would have been better off losing like a tough divisional matchup to the Texans or something. Well, for rep purposes, not like PR purposes.
I told you on the podcast I was going to be fine if they just won that Chargers game. I would have been fine with losing it, and that's what everybody thinks. I do think there is,
but when you get there and it feels attainable, and then you lose, it just completely shifts your perspective.
Well, losing a Super Bowl is kind of damaging. We've kind of seen this throughout history. It is kind of like a car crash. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to be like a truly great player or Jalen Hurts to shake that off.
It's also one of those. Well, I was going to say Jalen. I think they said that Jalen it's really just Elway and by the way, Elway lost 3 Super Bowls before he won one. If I remember correctly, I think they lost 2 or 3.
I think the other comparison was Tom Brady in the Seahawks Super Bowl. This is kind of lost to memory. He had lost 2 Super Bowls in a row and was going for a third. And hadn't won one in a while.
Yeah.
That that was kind of legacy defining. Like it's going to sound insane to everyone who like knows Tom Brady now, but like, I think if the Seahawks, if Malcolm Butler doesn't get that pick, Tom Brady's the legacy is like a little bit more up for debate. Because I'm not sure if the Falcons thing happens. Like, I'm not sure, like, like I'm just saying that is a
sliding doors.
This is his sliding doors moment, like, like for Tom Brady's career. Like,
also, I do just want to point out here, I trolled Pats fans for like a month being like, I do think it's really cool that we get a peek into the reality of what happened if Carson Wentz didn't tear his ACL. In the Eagles and Foles led them to the Super Bowl. Now that we're sitting on the other side of it, I kind of think that was a little bit of me peeking into the future. I still think that Drake May is going to have a very good career. And I did agree with Bill that they would have had more egg on their face if he had won the MVP. Like Sam Monson, I think it was, from PFF, who voted for Herbert, and that was the determining factor, which, even though I think that's absurd, it is something that probably is better for Drake in the long term.
For sure.
And I also am like, the Patriots were ahead of schedule. The Seahawks team was a fucking wagon. And I think that what these last two Super Bowls, and really like 5 of the or 3 recent Super Bowls, if you want to do the Tampa one, this one, and the Eagles last year, offensive line and trenches literally is the determining factor in all of these games. When it comes, like, it's basically you either have Mahomes or Brady, which is like was the key swing prior to last year when Mahomes got crushed, and obviously had the Tampa Super Bowl and Brady was on the other end. Or you have an elite offensive line, defensive line. And the trenches proved to be the determining factor here. But I have to give it to Sam Darnold. Like, he was inconsistent in this game. He was not he didn't fuck up. The difference in the game was that he was under pressure a ton and didn't throw interceptions. He didn't fumble the ball, and he only took 1 sack the whole game. And that was like, he knew the defense in the running game was going to be able to carry them enough that he just needed to not fuck up, and he didn't.
He had a couple of things that could have been fuck ups early on, and the Patriots couldn't make the play, and then he just settled down, dude. Like, he was like pretty fine the rest of the thing. Long-term Patriots thoughts real quick. Like, I think the Patriots are going to go somewhere between 8-9 and like 10-7 next year. They still might make the playoffs because the AFC East is a fucking disgrace. But like, I think like the AFC like still isn't very good. I do want to formally apologize to the Seahawks for my take all year saying that their NFL is out of good teams. Turns out that there were 2 good teams. I want to credit you. You were correct about the Rams. The Rams probably were a good team. Now that we've seen that
Stafford was the only one who could move the ball in this defense. Like, I was shocked.
Puka Nacua was the only one who could move the ball in this defense.
Stafford was amazing in the NFC Championship game, dude. I don't want to hear it. You have to take the L on that. He was so good, dude. He was so good.
Matthew Yakford.
Yak is a QB stat, by the way. Anyway, continue.
Yak is a QB stat.
I'm not joking. I'm not. If you throw with anticipation like Matthew Stafford does, you're gonna get guys that get yards after the catch a lot.
Sure.
He's not fucking throwing screens every fucking play.
Look, credit to MVP, the worst MVP of my lifetime, but he was
374 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the fucking Seahawks defense. He literally played the best game of any quarterback in the playoffs.
You're a good player when you're the worst MVP of all time. That's still a really good player. Like, think about who's the worst MVP. Like, Derrick Rose was still a pretty good player before he got
Matthew
hurt.
Stafford's better than Matt Ryan. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, you know what? Facts.
Okay. And he's better than
I'll give you that.
Better than Rich Gannon, too, who also won. There have been some pretty stinker QB.
I always forget the NFL MVP is so dog shit, dude.
Right. Which I agreed with Bill. He was cooking on that.
Yeah,
he was like, who cares about the NFL MVP?
He should have.
Literally comparing Brady and Mahomes.
Both of his guests, I think House and was it fucking
House was all over this.
No, House disagreed with him. It was a rare House L. Like, because House and whatever football guest they had on, I think it was what's his name, the guy who names drops everyone, the football guy. You know who I'm talking about?
Cheel? Was it Cheel?
No, it wasn't Shield. No, I like Shield. This was I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the part where you said you didn't like them. I like
No,
Shield.
I didn't. I didn't say that, but I was.
You were implying.
Yeah. Okay. No, I forget his name. He works for NFL. He used to work for Bill, but now works somewhere else.
Schrager.
There we go. Yes, exactly.
Dude, respect him and Schrager. No one knows more assistant coaches than Peter Schrager.
He's awesome. He went on that pod. He was talking about how cool Mike McDaniels is. He's awesome.
I love him, dude. He's so funny.
I mean, I do love him as a character.
He's basically like Windhorse with less aura.
yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but anyway, I think I'll say this about the Patriots. I think they got up. The AFC East was so bad. I do think May is taking a lot of flack for something that I think is primarily a weapons, and the rest of that offense is just so bad, dude. Like he was really bad for like 4 straight games. I also don't think we've ever seen anyone be as undermanned from a talent perspective. He got knocked down so much, dude. And I understand part of that is like quarterbacks and some of this other stuff. That said, it's ridiculous that he was even in the MVP conversation. And I think everybody needs to recalibrate. Like,
you were on the MVP race was very weak this year. I don't disagree with you in that capacity.
I thought it was ridiculous.
There was no all-time season that was being jobbed or anything.
It was ridiculous that he was even ever being considered. But I also think Pats fans needed to reel it in too. Like everyone anointed him. Like we got our new Brady already. I was like I thought that was crazy too. Like
that's never happening again.
Even
though Drake was great this year.
He's great this year.
There will never be another Tom Brady. It's literally like Mahomes is the closest thing that we have, and Mahomes
he'll probably have
the best career up to this point for someone at his age.
And look, he's probably going to have another pretty bad season next year. Their record, not only are they playing a number 1 schedule, they're playing the NFC North and they're playing
well, that's tough.
The AFC West. So yeah. So it's going to be it's a number 1 schedule with those 2 factors. It's going to be hard for them. I think he's going to have a much worse season. That said, I think he will be fine in the long run. This was his 2nd year in the league. I think he will settle in as a good, not great quarterback.
Will he like playing with AJ Brown is the question.
I hope so, man. I was trying to taunt Eagles fans in my thing for that, and they said no. They love each other now. So
no. Well, this is the thing: is that everyone who says that AJ Brown hasn't been happy is actually a part of the global media conspiracy against the Eagles. It's not that AJ Brown has been crying every single we probably won't trade him for financial reasons. It's like kind of impossible to trade him, but that stuff is not made up, guys. Let's stop being QAnon about this.
It's the local reporter.
Very real. All right, let's wrap it. I have 2% on my computer left. So
okay. Last thing before we get out of here, I do just want to say genuine congratulations to the Seahawks. I was very impressed with them. They obviously should have been the champions the whole time. They destroyed us. It wasn't even close. Probably should have been a way worse game. Full respect to them. Full respect to Demon Darnold. Full respect to Walker. All their defense. Great game. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was it.
We got to 2.5. We got to get to 2.5, dude.
We don't have to get to 2.5. I need to. My computer will die in 2 seconds, so I need to go.
Okay, fine.
Peace.